Want to set the world on fire.
Please welcome Tom Summery.
In your heart.
Know that I'm here, and
in
your white
my
privileges
heart,
have been
I have
seeing you
but
tonight, okay, guys?
desire, and that one is you. No other will do. I've lost all ambition for worldly acclaim.
Any government is to monopolize as much violence as possible in order for it to inflict it on as many citizens as possible.
I've been on this weird anarchist arc for a few months now. This is playing by their rules, exactly how they are written.
I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to start a flame.
You're watching the Dog and Chicken Show. Like, share, subscribe.
That's right. It's time for the Dog and Chicken Show.
And welcome back to the Dog and Chicken Show. This is episode 141, if you can believe it, and our return back to the Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube. And if you're not already liked, shared, and subscribed over there, what in the blue fuck are you doing, folks? I am Tony fucking G. You can find me all over the Big Buckin' Empire, Linktree/Big Buckin', as well as Tony the Rod 2.0 on TikTok. And trust me, you want to, because it gets saucy. But speaking of saucy, I am joined tonight by the one, the only,
the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower, folks. Your king of extreme, Phil KOE, the prince and potentate of the political parlance, the papacy of punctuality, folks, the lord of the Scottish Highlands, and one damn handsome man, if I do say so myself, folks. We are here today to discuss the issues of the day. You can find me, of course, at KOE Nation on YouTube, KOE Nation on Twitch, and KOE Nation on TikTok. That's K as in King. O as in, oh my God, you can find KOE Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. E as in extremely happy to know you can find KOE Nation on YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. It's all very on brand, folks. And this evening, we're going to get into all kinds of topics of the day, and hopefully, a little bit of a teaser. We will have a special main event run-in by the one, the only, the 1110 KFAB celebrity, Nate Dallin, folks. He is an immigration attorney out of Omaha, Nebraska, and he is going to be gracing us with his presence, hopefully as the main event of the show this evening, folks. So keep your eyes out for that. But, you know, even without that, Tony, just you and me, great enough as it is. But we will also be gracing the many, many great people of Big Buckin' Empire with Nate Dallin and his great analysis on a great many things, and maybe even a touch of pushback to a certain poultry master within the Big Buckin' Empire. But folks, I am Phil KOE, and I am really looking forward to getting into all of the issues of the day. But before we do that, it's a little matter of what we're drinking this evening, folks. Now, Tony, I am actually going to let the audience decide. Wild Turkey Rare Breed, Four Roses Single Barrel, or Maker's Mark 101. These are all bottles that are getting pretty close to the end, and it's time to finish them off. So I'm going to let the audience decide what I am drinking tonight. So if basically, folks, oh, damn, Rusty Trombone, Four Roses, biatch. That was a quick draw. That was a, God damn it, Jess. Yes, I've got the gin here, but you have to, folks, pay the tax for that awfulness to go down my gullet. But let's see.
Yeah. And
if nobody counters Rusty Trombone in the next 60 seconds, I'm drinking Four Roses.
We do not actually have the stars tonight. I just checked. It looks like
Oh,
we don't have the gaming level this week. So it looks like
chicken.
if you really are desperate enough to give Phil a gin shot, you can always send to the here. Let me pull it up. It's the Buy Me a Coffee link. I think I've got it at the ready here. If you're this desperate to get Phil to drink
Oh,
gin, it's
so what would that link be?
buymeacoffee.com/Tony G. And it's right here. Looks like
buymeacoffee.com/Tony
that.
G. And
Yep.
that would be if anybody had the guts, the gall, the balls to make me take a shot of gin, which I don't think I need to really worry about that. Nobody's going to make me do such a thing this evening. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about that one bit, folks.
So, looks like you're drinking Four Roses. Biatch.
It's looking like it. I got just a few more seconds to go here, folks, on my little countdown. 23, 22,
Okay.
20. All right. So Tony.
Meanwhile, I'm having a small glass of Macallan 15 year, but other than that, I'm not drinking a whole lot tonight.
So wait, you mean I'm doing all the shots tonight?
Yep, afraid so, Phil.
You bastard.
So it is what it is.
That's real fun. So and there we go. Four Roses is the winner. So Four Roses. This is the spicy batch. So there's a fruity batch, a spicy batch. This is spicy batch. And yeah, it's getting down there. So I figured I've got all of these, what I'd call 2-finger bottles. And I figured, let's give it a shot.
Yeah, that's what I did last week with the Old Forester Statesman. I'm like, we put a good enough hurting on that at the cabin. It's probably time to kill it. And kill it I did. That thing is empty. And now I'm going to have to find me a new bottle of Old Forester. Just really, the question comes down to which one do I want to get?
I think I'm missing a bottle of 1910. That's the one that I don't have in my lineup. So
yeah, that was the one I was going to sample the other night when I was at your house, and unfortunately, you did not have it there. I think you said you took it to the mill at one time.
Yep, I did, and gone it was. I did not finish that one though, sadly. Sadly, though.
Maybe that's what I'll have to pick up then.
Yeah, because then we can finish out our round robin of the Old Forester line, which we've wanted to get into.
And it's a lovely, lovely line of bourbon, folks. If you like your bourbon with a little bit of extra kick, with a little bit of extra heat, with a little bit more proof than your run of the mills, check out the Old Forester line. Really anything in the year, the 1870, 1897, 1910, and the 1920, you really can't go wrong. They're all just fantastic. Fantastic. All over 100 proof.
They call it the Whiskey Row series.
Yes.
So that's a must, a sure must, if you will.
So, folks, what we're looking at tonight, we didn't have a whole lot lined up this week. Obviously, Chicken is off this week. He gives his love in the comments, as you can see via YouTube here. Skeet. Let me see if I can. I'll just pull it up here real quick. Let's see if I can. I've got a chicken tracker. I do. Let me see.
Oh,
there it is. Yep, I've got the chicken tracker pulled up. There we go. Let me zoom in. He's in a hot tub drinking.
Okay. Yeah. Not quite as high tech as the Brennan tracker.
No, not nearly, but it gets the job done. So if he needs to send us any updates on his current situation, if he gets out of the hot tub or if he pours himself another drink, hell, if he loses his shorts and something gets stuck in one of those water jets, that will happen. I've been there, buddy. Don't feel bad.
I have been
live stream from the hot tub if that happens.
Oh, good Lord. I have been actually editing the bourbon tournament that we did when Brendan came down. Really good time. And I got to say, I was just editing the Kentucky Outsiders bracket. And in that one in particular, I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I thought I was just getting a little annoyed with Lynn, but that was the main star, apparently. I was getting so annoyed you could drizzle it over pancakes. Now, keep in mind, folks, I had a little more alcohol in my system than average on that particular evening, so it was a fun night, though. So, I mean, if you want to see...
panties in a bunch.
Oh, no. If you want to see, like, WWE-style clash, you're going to have to see this... incredible bourbon tournament. I mean, not only bourbons, but also Phil KOE and Lynn, and just like, and Chicken was having a good time. Brendan was just kind of like, wow, how did I get myself here? Like what? How did my life decisions land me here? Like that.
Brennan is like, how on God's green earth are these people still alive after being able to take in this much alcohol this regularly?
Like, I'm convinced half of the time he was just like throwing the shot over his shoulder, like, oh yeah,
Jesus God, I'm gonna go into an alcohol coma.
yummy,
Please, get me
yummy.
away from you people.
Yeah, I'm giving that one 2 points. Yeah, yummy.
Yeah.
So that could be
he
a
drank it
possibility.
all and he loved them all, except for
But
Elijah
yeah, so
Craig
folks,
18, because you should feel bad, Elijah Craig 18.
Yes, you should. Elijah Craig is bad, and you should feel bad.
You
but
should.
I'm not spoiling anything that any of you that drink whiskey don't already know.
No, well, the
but
honest ones anyway.
Let's be honest here, though. So, folks, over at KOE Nation, we're going to be wrapping up the rye whiskey tournament before too terribly long. And then immediately after, the bourbon tournament of 2022 is going to drop, folks. And you're going to have to subscribe to KOE Nation on YouTube to see where that goes. And this one this year had some shocks and some surprises, some twists and turns. We laughed, we cried, we all grew.
Indeed.
Yes. So now, Tony, shameless self-promotion aside, what is the topic du jour? What's the first headline that we're going to dive into here at Big Buckin' Empire?
So, as you can see, the name of tonight's episode is Breaking News, and that's what we do here. We are on top of the hard-hitting issues. And what up, you fuckery fucks? We're just chilling. We're just living this life called live stream and enjoying every minute of it, Justin. Check out the Yanked Up podcast over on YouTube, Facebook, and OnlyFans. Justin Chris, the main star. Anywho, breaking news, folks. So we do have some news stories to go over, and we're going to, as you can see, a few of them are scrolling on the little ticker down below. But first up, I figured we probably better touch on this. You knew it was coming. Good God, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard, the verdict. And this is coming from NDTV.com. The verdict explained in 5 points. The jury awarded Johnny Depp significantly more damages than Amber Heard, making it a legal victory for the Pirates of the Caribbean actor. Now, Johnny Depp and his ex-wife Amber Heard were both found liable for defamation and awarded damages by a U.S. jury, concluding a closely watched, intense trial over domestic abuse allegations. Here are the 5 points on the verdict. 1. The jury awarded Depp significantly more damages than Heard, making it a legal victory for the Pirates of the Caribbean actor. It awarded $15 million, $10 million in compensatory damages, and $5 million to punitive damages to Depp, and $2 million to Heard. Wow. Fucking wow. $13 million difference.
It's a lot of scratch.
That, sure. Let's call it scratch. Holy God. Wow. $13 million.
Now, it wasn't like the $50 million Johnny Depp was asking for, but it was really just nope, you see, it was proven in a court of law. I won. I was right. And so this was how Johnny Depp goes about getting his reputation back. So,
well, I don't know that any reputation fixing is going to come at her checkbook's expense. I don't.
No, it comes from the jury awarding him. And so he could say, look, a jury of my peers said X. And that's really what that's all about, because now it's, I mean, you guys have seen the memes. Amber Heard's like the Navy soldier from Pirates of the Caribbean. Your bed is the worst bed I've ever pooped in, Jack Sparrow, but you did poop in it.
Yes, that's
oh, yeah.
True.
To them, it's chunk change. Yes.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like that's kind of what I mean. This isn't going to be like this is moral. It's a moral win. It's not like the fight of the century, Muhammad Ali versus Mike Tyson, for God's sake. Like, nobody got knocked out here. This was more like a time limit draw, because this thing went on for a fucking eternity. And we got the expectations pretty high up pretty early on that Johnny Depp was going to walk out of this thing the victor, and that's what happened. But really, she kind of got a participation trophy. Point number 2, Depp had sued Heard over her 2018 article in the Washington Post for implying that he was an abuser and sought $50 million in damages. Heard countersued her ex-husband for $100 million over statements made by Depp's lawyer, Adam Walkman. The jury found Amber Heard had defamed Depp in 3 separate statements, and that Depp had defamed her with his attorney's remarks. So there you go. You touched on that a second ago. A far cry from the 50 million or 100 million numbers that they were originally seeking. But I think at this point, they're just probably happy not to be in the fucking courtroom right now.
Yeah, at this point, it's got to be a relief to be able to actually get back to, their jet-setting celebrity lives, and Amber Heard doesn't have to, snort when she's on the witness stand anymore. Like, I'm sorry, that was just like, that was like
private.
When I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna, like, Johnny Depp could say she's a Martian and she's the head of the Illuminati that lives on the other side of reality, and I'd probably believe him, because it's like, okay, this chick is fucking crazy. Okay, she's fucking doing bumps on the fucking witness stand and thinks that's just yeah, sure, let's throw in an allegedly if we need to. But yeah, that was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh dear Lord. So yeah,
that was pretty intense.
That was eye-opening.
If you want to have, bumps usually are. So yeah, I gotta say, point number 3 here, exactly what I meant. Johnny Depp welcomed the verdict, saying the jury gave me my life back. Oh, Jesus, gave all of us our life back. From the beginning, the goal of bringing this case was to reveal the truth, regardless of the outcome, he said. The best is yet to come, and a new chapter has finally begun. Well, not a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, apparently. Point 4, a disappointed Heard calls the verdict a setback for women. What? What? I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It's a setback. It sets back the idea that violence... Okay, I'm going to stop right there. No, this is not a setback for women.
It's a setback for Amber Heard.
No, it's a setback for women who want to frame men, because we have glorified accusing men willy-nilly without any repercussions for the fucking woman. What this is a step forward, damn it. This is an actual step forward for not just women, not just men, but really anybody who is an actual victim of domestic or any kind of abuse. Because to have that fear that you could have allegations thrown at you for absolutely no actual crimes committed, and have a jury or a judge believe those allegations and potentially go away for the rest of your life for having done nothing other than somebody else make up a story. No, this is not a setback. No. This is somebody lying their ass off and getting what karma deemed they needed to. And hopefully this isn't the fucking end of it for her. Heather chimes in again. That Me Too thing got out of hand. There are real women who are abused and are not going to be believed because of people like her. Exactly. I'm hoping that this deters a few people, or at least gives them a moment of clarity before they just throw out allegations. And I brought this up a couple of weeks ago. Like, if you watch any of the Reddit stories on TikTok, and I am so guilty of that, constantly watching them, I see so many of them, people's lives ruined because of false accusations, and it just sucks. Like, you don't need weapons to hurt people in this day and age. You just need a good story. Tyler Williams.
Yeah. Oh, good Lord. So yes,
and,
I even actually have one Four Brothers mead review that's from that bachelor party that still has yet to drop yet. So but yeah, so keep your eyes out on that. That'll be a fun one. But
final point is number 5. Bitter claims and counterclaims headlined the high-profile trial of the 2 Hollywood celebrities. Heard in her testimony said Depp was physically and verbally abusive, and also accused him of sexual violence. Depp too accused Heard of domestic abuse. Both had denied the allegations made by the other, and that's really what this boiled down to. This was a weeks and weeks and weeks long trial of he said, she said, pointing the finger at each other, and just one high profile celebrity and the other one, also ran. But at the end of the day, it's still celebrities and their drama, and it's really just dollar amounts, because if these were just regular people, it's the same story, just a hell of a lot of different dollar amounts, really, in the end.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's like, they've got the money to fight this out in the courts for however long they need to. It's not an issue like, for Joe Sixpack and Jane Wine Cooler. Yeah, it's basically whatever the cop says when they get there.
Yeah.
Like yeah, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard had the money to fight this one out to the bitter end, and Johnny ends up getting at least a piece of his reputation back. And you're saying there's never going to be another Pirates of the Caribbean movie? No. Johnny Depp said that $30 million and all these other bennies wouldn't get him to do it. Now $50 million and his own island off the coast of Greece. Now that might get us another Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
See, I thought I heard the other day that The Rock was going to be taking his role. That could have just been bullshit, though.
That's probably bullshit. Now, granted,
I'm gonna look.
That's one of those things that like Johnny Depp's like, you can't replace me. It's like, oh yeah, we got The Rock to do a pirate movie. Fuck. Damn it. The Rock's doing a pirate movie. I can't compete with that shit. Like,
it does look like, there might be some traction, but nothing's been confirmed. But I mean, really, at this point, who else could you get to replace Johnny Depp that the fans would almost accept? Because they're not going to. But The Rock would come pretty close.
I was about to say, yeah. I mean, the only thing you could do is like get Joaquin. Sorry, I love The Rock, but I can't. Like, if they wanted to be real dicks about it, it's like, okay, we got Joaquin Phoenix to play old Jack Sparrow. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Or we got Daniel Day-Lewis to play even older Jack Sparrow. Fuck off. What are you going to do now? And yeah, those two can just lose themselves in the role. You'll almost see Jack Sparrow in it.
So really, did this flesh out the way you expected? Because I'm sitting here and I'm just glad this thing's kind of over. We know it's not over, but mostly this kind of went the way we were assuming it would.
I'm kind of shocked Amber's lawyers were able to get a $2 million settlement out of Johnny. Basically just off of what the lawyers said. And so that's interesting. That shocked me. Other than that, no, this ended basically the way I thought it was going to end. The minute she was relying on my dog stepped on a bee, I was like, okay, all right, this is done. This is done. Johnny's going to walk away with the W here.
Yeah, exactly. Heather, I'm glad it's over, but now what am I supposed to do with my life? Oh, don't worry. There's plenty more.
I know.
Celebrity drama.
It's such a slow news week, Heather. It's not. There's nothing else going on in the world. It was just Johnny Depp, basically.
Well, before we get into any other stories, I just saw this come up across my one of my news feeds before we went live, Phil, and I wanted to pop this up and get your thoughts on it.
Oh my!
Will Arnett will voice Sweet Tooth in live-action Twisted Metal series.
Not a bad pick.
No, Lego Batman probably
was really good.
One. Yeah,
well, yeah, he was really good as Lego Batman in all of his iterations. And also Will Arnett's just kind of discovered, hey, wait a minute. This animation voice acting shit is great. I don't even have to fucking shave or do my makeup that day. Exactly. I could just show up in sweatpants and just do that shit. So now Sweet Tooth, Tony, you and I, that's a character that kind of has a sweet spot in our hearts because mostly because we've been following the Twisted Metal series since the original, and it kind of
early 90s.
It crescendoed with Twisted Metal Black, and after that, I'm sure they tried more afterwards. I was like, no, to me, that's the end of the Twisted Metal story. That's
kind of was. It
like
was.
That's the whole.
Those of you yeah, it was like the culmination. There's a theory on that I'll tell you about. But yeah, you're right. Like the early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s, there were 4 on the original PlayStation. It's like a destruction demo derby car crash game, but with missiles and rockets and gore. It's
just basically it appeals to 10 to 15-year-old teens in the 90s. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're right. And then on the PS2, when they came out with Twisted Metal Black, that kind of brought it all full circle. They did try to make a follow-up after that, and the funding kind of went away. And then on PS3, they did come out with a remake, and it really, really, really fell flat because the makers of the game had to borrow from the project that was scrapped, but they really didn't understand what the game was about. It was about the individual driver attached to their individual car. And when they re-released the game, they put out a bunch of cars, but there were only 3 characters. And you could put whatever character you wanted in the car, but the driver was supposed to be synonymous with the car, and it completely ruined the entire concept of the game. So it really didn't gain much traction. Outside of that, it was a good game, but without the storyline, it's just shit. And that's why I was kind of excited to see this, because again, yeah, you're right. Sweet Tooth is just one of those great characters. Clowns scare the hell out of most people. Will Arnett's voice either turns you on or gives you the willies. For me, it's both, really.
So to you, Will Arnett's like a poor man's Ryan Reynolds.
I mean, yeah, that's a good way to put it. I mean, he clearly doesn't have the physique of Ryan, but
now who's gonna? What's the name of the other guy? Is it Calypso?
Yeah, Calypso is the tournament.
Now, what's funny is one of the chemicals that we occasionally apply is Callisto on some of our fields, and so whenever we're like, and we're gonna apply some Callisto, I always go, a tournament for you all. Like I always immediately think of Twisted Metal.
Oh, I didn't see this. There's an add-on to that story, Phil.
Oh no.
The person portraying Sweet Tooth in Sweet Tooth form, not the voice, but the physical, Samoa Joe.
What?
So, pro wrestler of WWE, TNA, and AEW fame, Samoa Joe will be the live-action Sweet Tooth.
I was gonna say, Tony, you can just say of WWE fame.
He's in AEW now.
Yes, and he just jobbed Adam Cole. We don't need to.
Yeah, he might.
And Tony, no one in the sound of our voice but you even knows what TNA is. So let's not pretend otherwise.
That's fair.
So it's like, of TNA fame, Tony. TNA is not famous for being TNA. So let's not let's not give that undue.
Phil, let me have this. All right.
Okay, fine. But I do like the fact that Samoa Joe has got himself a legit role here. Now he's got that size, so it'll really work.
He'd probably have to slim down a bit, but
hey, you never know.
It's the movies. And yes, Justin Chris knows exactly what TNA's tits and ass be. All right. So moving right along, I know this is a story. I didn't really look into this a whole lot when Chicken first brought it up because I kind of wanted to learn about it on the show. And usually I learn about these fun things from you and Chicken. So I'm going to learn a lot here.
Oh, well, let's learn together.
Now. Yeah, let's learn together. This has got to be a fun one, right? So this is coming from Business Insider. Hunter Biden's ex-wife, Kathleen, get out of here, Ad Buell, describes his addiction and learning about his affair with his sister-in-law. Now, this is just a heartwarming tale of just entrepreneurial, just fortitude and just a real hero's journey, if you will. Am I wrong?
I think so, just a little.
My little off base here. That's not what they're going.
No. This isn't one where we find out that the hero's journey isn't always a happy one. No. This isn't. I don't think. No. But let's see. Let's not judge a book by its cover now, T.
That's kind of what I was thinking, Phil. I think you're jumping the gun here.
Let's see what we got. Okay.
All right. So, in her new memoir, Kathleen Buell describes the moment when she learned of her now ex-husband, Hunter Biden's affair with their sister-in-law, Haley Biden. The revelation came from her family therapist and daughters in November of 2016, more than a year after Haley's husband and Joe Biden's son, Beau, died of glioblastoma brain tumor on May 30th, 2015.
Oh, man. I remember Hunter doing an interview. I was like, yeah, I mean, we thought it would be okay. And then everybody stopped talking to me and I ended up losing even clients over this. I was like,
who'd have thought? Who would have thought that like banging your dead brother's widow would have ramifications? I thought that was a normal thing.
Or people might be a little like, ugh. But now I know in our modern day, you're never supposed to go by anyone's sexual anything anymore. But yeah, I think that's one that you're still kind of allowed to go like, dude, like let some time pass. Play the field, you two. Like, what the fuck? Like, Jesus.
You know, maybe I didn't read that right, Phil. Maybe I should read it again.
I think you should. Oh my God.
In her new memoir, Kathleen Buell describes the moment when she learned of her now ex-husband Hunter Biden's affair with their sister-in-law Haley Biden.
Incest, baby.
The revelation came from her family therapist and daughters in November 2016, more than a year after Haley's husband and Joe Biden's son Beau died of glioblastoma brain tumor on May 30th, 2015. Buell's daughter, Finnegan, summoned her to the family's therapist office and asked Debbie to break the news when Finnegan said she couldn't do it herself, according to an excerpt of the memoir published Wednesday in People. Debbie looked me in the eye and calmly said, "Kathleen, Hunter's having an affair with Haley," Buell wrote. "If we break to be released on June 14th. Oh my God, is all I said. Was this what shock felt like?" She wrote. Finnegan told her, "We found his phone." Her other daughter, Naomi, added, "There were text messages between them." Buell threw out Hunter in the summer of 2015 after finding a crack pipe in their ashtray, according to the People's summary. Earlier, he had admitted to cheating with prostitutes while traveling abroad for work. He later wrote about his drug addiction in his memoir, Beautiful Things. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, crack pipe family therapy, baby. Crack pipe incest therapy, family therapy. Yeah, baby. So, I don't know if you folks knew any of those things. Now you know all those things.
I mean, there's nothing that gets the mood vibing just the right way than talking about banging your brother's widow after smoking crack and filming yourself with prostitutes. And I don't even have to say allegedly anymore, and that's even better.
That is in the White House, not in a music video. Yeah, folks. Shit that belongs on the set of a music video is, that's occupying our White House now, folks. I feel people in charge are really.
This just gets worse.
There's more?
There's always more with it. In the fall of 2015, Buell wrote, she watched his every move from her computer. Buell and Hunter Biden divorced in 2017 after 24 years of marriage, and he's now remarried to another woman and facing a Justice Department investigation into his business dealings. Whether or not I'm questioned, I couldn't be of any help, Buell told People. I kept my head so deeply buried in the sand on our finances. The White House spokesperson could not immediately be reached for comment on the...
So she was the quiet mob wife. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Allegedly. Winky face.
How is the occupant of the White House not like disowned this bastard yet?
Oh, I'm sure in private he has. Like, he can't do that publicly, but I'm sure it's like, all right, Secret Service, you keep him in a bunker and you don't let him the fuck out. And just like, yeah, because you'll know you haven't heard much from fucking Hunter Biden lately.
See, I think it's the opposite.
Carefully curated.
I feel like it's the opposite. Like, he should, in public, disown this piece of shit. But in private, like, I'm sure he's still all chummy because, politicians are
his
10% like that. Allegedly.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, that might be a reason. It might be.
I mean, if you want to get all honest about it. Hello, Tom.
Hey, Tom. Well, now, folks, I do got to say, as a slight shift, we have one of the true, like, cat of 9 lives of cancel culture here. Tom Pinion, Tom, check out the Tom Foolery Show on YouTube.
Pour one out for Tom's Discord.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, so Tom, welcome. He's a longtime friend of the show. Actually, I think he was like one of the first guys to ever like really reach out to us. I remember is like,
Really?
hang on, no, go back. That was a good question. I want to answer that. And then the rest, as they say, is history. But yeah, so Tom ran into some controversies, I suppose you could say.
Yeah, Tom, I believe, found himself amidst some controversy on, was it with the Discord channel, because he was talking about Mr. Girl
or to Mr.
If
Girl.
You check out Tom's Facebook, I think the picture speaks 1,000 words.
Like I've noticed that like Discord bans, it's just like, yeah, you were the first guest ever on here, right here on Big Bucket Empire. Now I'm sure every single one of you will be well aware of that, given that you've all watched every single episode
every second
of this quality programming. And if you haven't, you should really go back. I mean, you're just denying yourself.
Had nothing to do with me. Well.
Oh, okay.
I wonder then.
I was wondering because
pissed off everybody on the metaverse.
Like I'm at this point, I'm like Facebook lets everybody on, and I'm shocked you're still even on Facebook. Like it's like,
I was to say,
oh, politically okay. Say no more. I've watched that show plenty of times. I'm like, oh, so when is everybody that's ever had anything to do with this show ever gonna get banned? Like, it's a great show. It's fun to watch, but it's just like one of those, eventually the ban hammer's coming down for everybody involved with this one. And so tis what it is, folks. But yeah, Tom, one of these nights I would like to come on to your show, or just and we could, because we've had a little bit of a, because I had to. Oh yeah. Oh God! So even on Facebook, you're fucking like on a thin fucking razor's edge. Like, pretty sure everything Mr. Girl touches feels assaulted. From what little I've heard of Mr. Girl, yes, I'm the one out here fighting the real battles with cancel culture. Yes, and you've got the cancel culture scars to prove it. I mean, like at this point. I mean,
wait a minute.
Have you been banned on MySpace yet?
Has this all just been a secretive ploy to prove that lefties can get canceled too, Tom? You martyr, you.
Tony, like, if that's the case, Tom, bravo for like taking one for the team there. But dear Jesus, man. Okay, we get it. We believe you. You can stop. You don't have to keep going. At this point, you're going to be on MySpace and fucking Yahoo email chains. Like, dude.
AOL Messenger.
Oh, man. Like,
that's dated.
But now, like, I will give Tom this, as he does not shrink from controversy. I'll give him that. But
not at all. Tom never backs down.
I did want to say one thing that Tom and I did have a little back and forth on that I disagreed with. Holy shit, we are. Yeah, I know. But he was saying that the purpose of a debate is to argue semantics and to define your definitions. And I don't really think that's the case, because if you look at the most important debate that we have in the world, the presidential debate, very rarely are they, or if at all, are they ever asked to define anything. So getting your definitions is probably not the point. To me, I look at a good debate and a discussion that's worthwhile is if you have a thesis met with an antithesis. And at the end of that, the two come together and you meet a synthesis, a new combination of the two ideas. Now, the times that doesn't work is when a thesis is met with a false antithesis, which we're seeing a lot in our modern day. But to me, that is the definition of a worthwhile debate. But it's the majority of real... I don't know, because I mean, all the major political debates, which are what actually decide who becomes the leader of the free world, they don't do semantics. They're putting thesis up against antithesis, and we either arrive at synthesis or your thesis is proven correct or disproven. So to me, that's what I believe debate to be. Jesse West, Tom, we might be putting our own panel together soon. I expect you to be on to give some terrible takes. Jesus Christ. Okay, then. All right. Tell us how you really feel.
He did say Biden was killing it. So, I mean, he's...
Yes, I'm waiting for my invitation to talk about those are fake debates. You are fake news.
You are fake news.
Yes, you are fake. But no, like to me, that's like you'll notice. Now, granted, there is a point. Like Socrates even said, the first step toward proper wisdom is to call things by their proper names. So having definitions is helpful, but like I think especially like on I'll be there. I've got tons of terrible takes stored up. I believe that, but Jesus Christ. But no, when we were talking about like what are debates for and what's their purpose, damn it, I forgot where I was going with this. It was fake debates. Well, I don't know about that because they decide who's the leader of the free world. So, I mean, is that really the fake? Because like when Socrates would go around, now I got it. The step towards proper wisdom is to call things by their proper names. But I've noticed that on Twitch, especially because this has even happened with you and me. I've noticed that a lot of times when you're asked, how do you define that? Yes, smash the like and shit, people. You'd better. How do you define that? 90% of the time, it's used as a stall tactic to give the person who asked that some time to think, or they're just looking to attack the definition rather than get at the actual point. Because I remember one time you and I were talking about Australian internment camps and people's rights. And I said, well, if everybody voted to take your rights, would you find that valid? And you came back with, well, how do you define valid? And to be frank, Tom, didn't really matter how I defined valid. That wasn't really the important point there. And that's why I pulled the reverse Uno on you. And I said, well, no, what matters is, well, I'm asking you. So what is it valid as it would mean to you? And because to me, I find it to not be as valid. I think debate's purpose is to find truth and compare logic. Yes. And that's what the thesis and antithesis is, what the true Hegelian dialectic is. A lot of people boil it down to an overly simplistic problem, reaction, solution. That's not the true Hegelian dialectic. But Tom, we will have to get into this sometime over, perhaps at the Tomfoolery Show on YouTube, if not KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch,
Phil,
or right here on a fucking panel.
Tom may not have any channels left by the time you get to that debate.
God, like Tom will. Oh, God damn it. It's like Tom's like, hang on. I got a couple takes on Israel I got that I think could get me kicked off of Facebook and YouTube. Come on, folks.
Oh, no, Phil. I just saw something come in. Tony G sending that $5 are in last week doing a gin shot to Phil KOE to take a gin shot tonight. Oh, hey, man. Wow.
You're a dick.
Wow. What a shocking turn of events, folks. Tony G using his $5 coupon to make Phil do a gin shot. Wait, don't do it yet, Phil. Don't do it yet. Gotta enjoy it. Hang on. Okay. Here you go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's gin shot time now, baby. Here's to fighting, stealing, and drinking. If you're gonna fight, may it be for a friend. If you're gonna steal, may it be a lover's heart. And if you're gonna drink, god damn it, better be with me.
Oh, yeah. Sweet juniper berry going down your throat. Is it delicious?
Ouch. I hurt my tongue. That was pain in my tongue.
No. Oh, shit. Hang on. Did he? I gotta go look.
No, he didn't.
Oh, no. I think he may have.
No, chicken.
Oh, shit. I better prove it.
Chicken, I don't like you right now.
Oh, my God. This is fantastic. Phil, another gin shot. Yeah.
Well, also, while I get this ready, oh shit. Folks, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and get prepared because There's a good possibility that Nate Dallin will be stopping by a little later. Got it on good authority that will be possibly happening at 10 o'clock our time, folks. So,
Ooh.
Chicken, I was just beginning to like you.
No, you weren't. Is it the second one's always better, right?
It wasn't as painful.
So it was better.
Sure.
Sweet
Why not?
beef eater. That looked delicious. Was it good?
I'm just wondering why the audience hates me.
So if anybody wanted to jump in on Chicken and I's fun, yeah, you can send that since we don't have stars tonight to buy me a coffee.
$15 for the next one.
/ Tony G. All right, that was fun, Phil. That was a lot of fun. Beefy.
God damn it, that's awful. That's terrible. I mean, gin, just a waste of perfectly good distillation process.
Yeah, I got to agree with you there. All right, let's move on.
Damn. Hey,
Unless
Chicken.
anybody wants more.
You are a rapscallion ne'er-do-well piece of shit. I just want to say that. And you ain't got the balls to donate the 15. None of y'all do. 15 bucks will make me take another gin shot.
If you want to make Phil do a gym shot, it is $15 now. The other prices, let me pull that up. So it's 100 stars per minute. We don't have stars, so that'd basically be $1 per minute. 750 stars for a song, and then Phil's already at $10, so it'd be 15 for another gin shot. I'm sure for Heather you'd make a deal though, right, Phil?
You know, Tony, I'm sorry, but the fair is the fair, and I need to be fair to everybody. So, I mean, it is 2022. I wouldn't want to appear like I was being impartial now, would I?
That is true. Gin was good enough for the boys in MASH.
Well,
gin
they
was
made
good enough for anybody
gin.
in war.
They were making gin out of their own little mini still using medical beakers and shit. Okay, that's
really anything that numbed the reality was good.
Now, I don't know. Did you know that the actual song, the theme song to MASH, there's actually lyrics to it?
Yeah,
there's actually, and
it's sad.
Like, suicide is painless. It brings on many changes, and something is torn. I'm like, God damn, like this is dark shit. I was like 9 the first time I ever heard the lyrics because I was watching the actual MASH movie with my grandma, and I was like, wait a minute, there's words? No, I thought it was just kind of a melodrama horn. Oh no. So yeah, like MASH was one of my favorite fucking shows growing up, I'll be honest.
Oh, it's classic. It is an absolute classic.
Still holds up.
MASH, fuck you. Yeah, it does. It holds up.
Like, it's one of those few political commentary shows that holds up over eras. So that's
it holds up because even though it was a bygone era, it shows that it really doesn't matter where you come from or where you are politically speaking. Everybody plumbed right down in the middle of a fucking war zone trying to save the lives of people. They don't really care about politics at that point. You see the hell that is war.
Yeah, that was just a. Now what's funny is what was the guy that was wearing the dress all the time?
Oh, it was Klinger.
There we go. That part I don't think would age as well. Like, if Netflix were to make MASH, Klinger would be the commanding officer and the main character, and everybody would stunning and brave.
Yeah.
So
Klinger was stunning brave. Yes, that is true.
Yeah, it would be Klinger would be the commanding officer running this place. So that. Oh shit! Shh! Don't give Netflix any ideas. Hey, why don't we fucking revamp MASH? Hey, we got
Hello, Skinner. Leonard Skinner on the TikTok, folks.
Good Lord.
All right. The opposite of stunning and brave is our next story. In fact, I'd go so far as to say it's disgusting and cowardly. Another pile of shit did something fucking awful. So, those of you who don't know, pile of shit gunman in Tulsa killed 4 people, then himself at St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oh shit. Oh shit. Drink up, Phil KOE.
Wait, what?
Oh man. Hang on, let me see. Oh no. Oh no. Yep. It's in there.
Ooh, two, Heather? Ooh, two. And then that blade from Brutus. Oh. Oops. Well, you're getting a full shot, goddammit.
Oh, it's dripping.
Yeah, I went over the edge. Well, for New York, I guess. Goddamn.
Oh, how was it? Oh, he's got the baby arm shakes going. The baby arm shakes.
Hey, Tony.
Yeah, Phil.
I don't really need your Jim Ross play-by-play when I'm downing this awful.
I think we do. By God, he took the gin. It went right down.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you. That was like Brutus's cut to Julius Caesar. That cut was at least kind of all. Like, oh, God. Jesus. This was full like 3 episodes ago.
Hey, that's your own fault.
Now it's $20, so I don't really got to worry about it because there's
No.
nobody in this audience has the moxie. Nobody's got the gall. Nobody's got the guts. Nobody's got the intestinal fortitude. So I am safe from any further gin. So I'm going to go back to enjoying my bourbon.
You do that, Phil, and we'll get back into.
I'm a little gin drunk.
Yeah, Lynn, took a year to get 1,000 followers, took 3 weeks to get the next 1K. Thanks, bots. Yeah, and it's funny because I got a notification earlier in the week on TikTok that they were going to be doing everything in their power to reduce the number of bot accounts to clean up TikTok. And you know what? I've probably gained another 200 bot followers since that notification. So, thanks, TikTok. You're doing great.
I still think
I'm still here, Phil.
Oh, Hill. Like, that's a new one. But no, I think it's really funny. There was somebody on Twitter that said, apparently all my followers were bots. I thought I had 5,000 Twitter followers. And now that the bots are gone, I only have 80 people following me. And to me, that is like if you were going to make a modern day Tales from the Crypt or some sort of like modern horror movie where somebody who thinks that they're shouting out to a big crowd and they're making a difference, and then they just find out that they've been talking into a giant digital void this entire time. Oh God. I mean, it's shit gin, but it was Ryan Reynolds gin. So that alone.
I'm thinking, yeah, that has to be your next bottle of gin. It's got to be Aviator. That way I can live vicariously through you having Ryan Reynolds inside of you.
Now, what's funny is Aviation also has an Old Tom gin, and I'm like, you did not need to make an Old Tom gin.
Oh,
it's
we
like
did see that. You thought about buying it.
Well, because it's the only Old Tom gin I've ever seen in my life, but it's like somehow more sour, more battery. It's basically the reason they call them that is because like we had speakeasies here when they had a short time of banned alcohol. You would literally put your glass under a pipe, you would bang on the pipe, you would have already paid somebody, and some Old Tom gin or some gin would fall out of what was called these Old Tom pipes. And so yes, Ryan Reynolds joke. Well, chicken, Ryan Reynolds is no joke. I will not have it. So.
He's talking about the joke I made. You just ignored it completely.
Which one?
I said, I got 10 more bucks for Phil if someone wants to pay the other 10.
Heather, Heather, this is just, this is getting excessive. This is, I mean, like.
We're crowdfunding for another gin shot.
God damn it. No, we don't need to, folks. That's a nay-nay. That's a nay-nay. But yeah, but Old Tom gin, like literally is a pipe called an Old Tom, and it would spurt out some old nasty bathtub gin, and it was just another way of making gin. And so it's like one of those like, oh yeah, so this is what gin was like in 1968 in fucking Upper West Side of London.
Didn't you want to know what that tasted like? It sounds delicious.
I mean, it sounds more like sadness in a glass. Like, oi, mates, things are pretty sad, aren't they? Yep, let's have some old Tom. Oh, I'm even sadder now. Like that would have to just be the saddest experience ever. Brennan hitting those likes. You might have the
Man.
You know,
I got my finger on the pulse. I'm watching.
But yeah, so old Tom gin, like one of those things, folks, maybe pass it on by. Get yourself a nice whiskey. You know, I mean, fuck. Now, granted, I know you can't resist giving money to Ryan Reynolds. I mean, every time the man makes a movie, everybody just gives him fucking money. But
I send him $5 every week.
I mean, just for being Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, just for being Ryan Reynolds. Like,
hello, Ryan. I wrote you a poem, Ryan. Would you like to hear it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I always make sure to put a couple of my pubes in the envelope.
Roses are red, violets are blue. That god-awful romantic comedy you made with Sandra Bullock wasn't all that bad, and I love you. Like, yeah, that's Tony's little poem. Like I'm sorry, that sucked. I don't care who you are.
That hit a lot harder than you realize, Phil. It wasn't that bad.
Ryan Reynolds is like, all right, studio. I mean, I can rub some Ryan Reynolds all over this, but you want like, okay, you want to see some acting? I will make the people at home believe that I'm actually attracted to Sandra Bullock's overly mannish features. Yes, I will totally, like, you want to see some fucking acting? Yes, I will totally make the people believe that I'm attracted to this woman who could probably pick me up. Yes.
That movie, look, Sandra Bullock looked gorgeous in that movie. Ryan Reynolds always looks gorgeous, and Betty White's in that movie. So, Phil, that film was oozing with sex. Okay, like,
well, I mean, there was Betty White.
It's in my spank bank forever now.
Like,
okay?
I mean, if the end of that romantic comedy would have ended up with Ryan Reynolds sweeping Betty White off of her feet and them going off to like the Caribbean or something, yes, you've got yourself like probably would have won the Oscar. Probably like it would go down with like Shawshank Redemption as like all-time greats of just like movies you must watch, but didn't end the way it needed to.
PBS wouldn't be airing A Christmas Story 24 hours on Christmas. They'd be airing that. Ryan Reynolds and Betty White getting down in the Bahamas.
I mean, yeah, like, well, who needs A Christmas Story when you got that love story? I mean, really. I mean, and unfortunately, nobody but Betty could have pulled that shit off. I'm sorry. She could have actually. Oh, Lord. So.
All right. So that was fun. Amanda, to the window, to the wall. Betty White drips down your balls.
I mean, she has down somebody's at some point, like over the last 100 years. I mean, yes. Like, I'm sorry, but like Betty White's only human. I mean, like, Jesus.
That's true. I mean, really, every hand that you've ever shaken at some point has had a cock in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but yes, every hand, all of them actually.
Okay, so let's get sad now that we've had that fun.
Well, okay, yeah, let's get back to this.
All right, yeah, because this has to be talked about, unfortunately.
And also
hospital shooting victims. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, before we get into this, if Nate Dallin does get here, folks, he also wants to touch on just a little preview. There's a big Supreme Court Second Amendment case coming down the pike, and he's going to give us the skinny as to what to expect from that. So, little preview of our main event, folks.
Fair enough. Yes, Lynn, the stars are not working tonight, unfortunately. We did not have any gaming time, so the workaround is the Buy Me a Coffee link. Buy Me a Coffee /Tony G. There you go. So, unfortunately, here we go. Tulsa hospital shooting victims identified. One was gunman's surgeon, police say. Gunman that killed 4 and then himself at the St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Tulsa police have identified a recent patient as the gunman accused of a mass shooting. at an Oklahoma hospital on Wednesday. 2 of the 4 victims were doctors at the hospital, including one who recently performed back surgery on the attacker, police said during a Thursday news briefing. The gunman killed 4 and then himself on the second floor of the Natalie Medical Building at St. Francis Hospital in Tulsa City, police said Wednesday. Gunman identified as Michael Lewis underwent surgery with Dr. Preston Phillips on May 19th, police said. In the following days and weeks, up to the morning of the shooting, he complained of a pain and sought additional treatment. Investigators later found a note on the scene that authorities said made it clear that the gunman intended to kill Dr. Phillips and anyone who got in his way. Separately, Tulsa Police Chief Wendell Franklin said Lewis's wife also called police, telling them he contacted her and told her what he'd done. He blamed Dr. Phillips for the ongoing pain following the surgery, Franklin said during the briefing. The other victims were Stephanie Hudson, Amanda Glenn, and William Love, Franklin said. Police arrived on scene 3 minutes after the initial 911 call placed by a patient who was in the middle of a remote meeting with a doctor who was inside the facility at the time. As they were announcing themselves and approaching the second story where the active shooting was underway, responding officers heard a gunshot that they believe Lewis inflicted on himself. First and foremost, I gotta say, I know multiple people died here, but does this really qualify as a mass shooting? I don't believe it does.
It's not the typical ones that you think of, because this one you can sort of define a motive, like, even because with the other ones, like, it's just you're trying to stare into the mind of madness and trying to figure out what the fuck any of this even means. Yeah. But this one, it's like, okay, this person believed they didn't get, like, it has something to do with they believe they didn't get adequate care, and it seems
people
to be some
in
sort of
pain
revenge.
Get very, very desperate, and I'm assuming that the amount of pain that this guy was in had to be pretty fucking severe. So I'm not sticking up for this piece of shit by any means. If you're in that much pain, but you're willing to murder other innocent people just because you feel your doctor didn't give you the treatment, like, come on. If you're in pain, you should be able to connect with other people in pain. So why would you want to inflict pain on other people? It makes no sense to me. But yeah, desperate people do desperate things. And this was one of the most desperate, senseless, mindless things somebody in pain could possibly do. And to what extent his back was in pain that he was able to commit multiple murders for no fucking reason other than he was upset. I was
about to say, apparently
it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's one of those, like, you know, when your parents tell you, like, walk it off, your arm don't hurt so much you can't, like, pick that up, or something. It's like, oh yeah, like, your back don't hurt so much you can't commit a fucking mass murder. So yeah, like that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, like, when people do go loony like this, but this one you can at least kind of sort of put together the ABC, not saying it's justified at all, but I'm just saying, like, you can. So this is why this one doesn't stand, like, this one isn't like the ones we normally think of, like the one we just had a couple weeks ago, or last week. So this one, it's unfortunate, but like, when people like that, like people who are gunmen who want to go out and kill a bunch of people and then kill themselves, my advice is always just kind of simple. If you're going to kill a bunch of people and then kill yourself, just put yourself on the front of that list, and then just everything else works itself out.
Yeah, just do that first. It's going to save everybody a lot of time and problems. Like, yeah. I know the order might seem a little backwards, but I promise it's going to work out better.
Your mama will be sad at your funeral, but at least there'll be somebody that'll be sad at your funeral.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot more tears for you if you just put yourself at the top of that list than if you put a bunch of other people's names first, and then you go down in notoriety for all the wrong fucking reasons. You piles of shit.
Yep. So, like I say,
I'm not going to encourage people to kill themselves, but if the option is kill yourself or kill a bunch of other people and then kill yourself, just kill yourself.
I was about to say, like, I'm never going to encourage people
allegedly in a video game, YouTube,
do bad things like that. But like you said, like, if those are your options, like, obviously we would choose the innocent people not being hurt. Like, that's, and so yeah, this is terrible. I mean, tragedy for all the families. You know, my prayers go out to all of you. This is, more senseless violence, and it's one of those things that when you walk out the front door, you need to be ready to visit it if it's visited upon you, folks, because there is evil in this world, and within each of us is the capacity to be both an angel and a demon.
Well, unfortunately, we've got a lot of these fucking stories this week. Fifth grader arrested after police say he sent a fake mass shooting threat in Florida. USA Today says a Florida fifth grader was arrested after making a fake threat to commit a mass shooting, according to police. Lee County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post it learned of the threatening message Saturday sent by a student at the Patriot Elementary School in Cape Coral, Florida. Sheriff Carmine Marceno said his team didn't hesitate 1 second to investigate the threat. Correct move. He said the student's threat was fake. Well, only fake because it didn't get carried out. Exactly. Maybe. Right now is not the time to act like a little delinquent. It's not funny. This child made a fake threat and now he's experiencing real consequences. The incident came days after the horrific shooting at Robb Elementary in Uvalde, Texas. And law enforcement officers in Uvalde have been criticized for not entering the classroom where the shooting was taking place. The Justice Department announced Sunday it's reviewing the delayed police response. So, I gotta say, at this point, I don't care if it's on the heels of an actual tragedy like the one in Uvalde. I don't care if it's a year removed from the last mass school shooting. You don't fucking do that. You don't do that no matter what. You don't make that joke ever because it's not fucking funny. And I'm glad that this police department actually had the fucking wherewithal to try to snuff the problem out before it became a real fucking problem and not go, it'll probably work itself out.
Well, I mean, like they're
in Uvalde, you fucking.
You always gotta, you always gotta read the room and know what the context is. And like, I'm going to give two different examples of jokes that got taken out of proportion, but one was actually just a joke and one could be interpreted as kind of bad in the wrong context. So, Tony, you might remember this. Professional wrestler Nathan Jones. Do you remember him? Big, muscly guy from Australia. Wasn't very good. Like, he was okay. But he had the look. He had the look. But one time he's in an airport and they started searching him too much. And he said, "What? It's not like I got a bomb on me or something." And he did not make it to his destination. Like, that was not reading the room and understanding that could be interpreted bad ways. And then there was on the opposite end, there's a context of a news site manager was talking about like whether or not to get any unionization, and he just made the joke that if people try to unionize, off to the salt mines. It was just a stupid joke, and somebody actually sued him for it because as an employer you actually can't make those kind of public anti-union statements or it'd be seen as intimidation of people trying to unionize, and the judge threw it out because it's a joke. Okay, so those are two different instances where it could go either way. Now, what makes it different is the distance. Like that person doing that tweet does not really even in any way construed have the ability to send people to the salt mines. Nathan Jones making a joke about, "Hey, I ain't got a bomb on me." Well, now I kind of want to look a little extra to see if you got a bomb on you, like that, because
this is just asking for trouble because you feel some sort of power being wielded by your words. That's somebody not just not being able to read the room, but trying
trying to be a
dick. And unfortunately,
and what a shock, Nathan Jones didn't know how to read the room or get the right reaction.
But sadly, that's not the last story about this bullshit. We got one more. Coming from Boston 25 News. Gun seized from a 16-year-old high school student at Chelsea School. Chelsea, Massachusetts, a 16-year-old boy facing charges after police say he was stopped inside his school in Chelsea with a handgun in his waistband. Police say the 9mm was loaded. It happened Thursday afternoon around 2:30 p.m. at the Phoenix Charter Academy on Hawthorne Street in Chelsea. No student, staff, or teacher was threatened, according to police, who are still trying to figure out why he had the weapon. School was not put into lockdown, according to police. Thankfully, no injuries were reported. The student was not from Chelsea, but no other information was shared because he is a juvenile. Okay, that's interesting. The gun was recovered by officers and school administrators, according to a statement from Chelsea police. Phoenix Charter Academy Chelsea is a public charter high school that opened in 2006, served about 75 students. So I guess, yeah, this is one I kind of want to know more about, because if he's not from there, but he was there with a gun, yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense. But this, again, this is timing, and this is just terrible, because this is going exactly back to what I've been saying multiple times on this very show. The 24-hour commentary in the wake of tragedy, plastered all over countless news networks, glorifying these random acts of massive violence, gets that worm planted in the head of people who maybe weren't going to do something awful, but then they see the claim to fame, and then they take the initiative and they fucking go with it. And I just wish that inspiration didn't work like that.
The human condition. Now, Tony, could you check your buy me coffee?
I will, Phil.
Because I've got the shot ready here in case.
Oh my goodness. Yep. I've got oh yeah. Looks good. It's all there. Half from Heather and half from Lynn. Phil.
God,
wait, just wait. Just savor it for a second, if you would. Baby.
Oh yeah.
Nothing gets Phil KOE up in the morning like a good shot of gin. Hell,
in the morning.
Why stop at one shot, Phil? Have 4 shots of gin. Beefeater, baby. Nothing gets the movement flowing through your body like a nice 2-ounce shot of straight Beefeater juniper berry fucking gin coursing through those veins like a motherfucking boss.
Woo!
Ugh. Skeet, motherfucker.
Ugh.
Is it good?
It's yummy in my tummy.
Enjoy, Phil. Hell yeah. Eat that beef.
I'm going to be honest with you.
Take it like a man.
Starting to get a little gin drunk here.
Well, you've only done 4 shots of gin in an hour. That's not bad. You did 8 shots of gin in like 45 minutes that one night, Phil.
Big fucking empire.
I'd ask you if you remember that night, but I'm guessing not so much.
Which night was that?
The 8 gin shot night in like 45 minutes.
I don't remember much.
Okay, good. I can't wait for the people to see the highlights of that one. That was a great one. I had a lot of fun.
Oh, yippee-ki-yay. Oh, is that the one you already made the highlight video of?
Oh, I'm all cut up on the highlights of 2022, folks. And I know we've been kind of bad about the highlights from 2021, and we've got plenty more dropping here real fucking soon. And there's some real gems in there, folks. So be on the lookout for that. How's it feel to have 4 shots of gin?
Peachy.
Peachy. Right.
No, actually the opposite of peachy. Peaches would be nice.
True, I'll give you that, Phil. I mean, they don't make gin with peach, probably for good reason. So let's talk. Let's talk something sexy. Let's get something
getting
really hot and steamy going.
Empire, baby.
You ready for this?
Oh yeah!
All right, breaking news.
Jesus.
Michael Avenatti sentenced to 4 years for stealing nearly $300,000 from Stormy Daniels.
God damn it. This bitch is just she's taking it up from all sides. I mean, she's got to pay Trump. She's got Avenatti stealing.
Yeah, I agree. CNN Politics says disgraced attorney Michael Avenatti was sentenced to 4 years in prison for stealing nearly $300,000 from his former client, adult film actress Stormy Daniels. District Judge Jesse Furman said Avenatti's conduct was so brazen and egregious, adding he took advantage of a vulnerable victim given her unorthodox career and somewhat unorthodox beliefs. Avenatti was convicted in February on 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of aggravated identity theft. Faced as much as 20 years.
I'm sorry. Hit pause there. What was the first thing that the judge said there?
He was, I'm sorry, so brazen and egregious, took advantage of a vulnerable victim, given her unorthodox career and somewhat unorthodox beliefs.
The spot. Like, so the judge basically like, well, of course she couldn't see this coming. She's a fucking porn star. Of course, like that's basically what the judge just said there. Like, yeah, she's a porn star. She's not gonna see this scam coming. Like, so I was like, I like how the judge's like, well, yeah, obviously she's a porn star, so she's gonna be
saying. Are you saying the judge implied that he didn't tell her when he was about to come? To the conclusion that he should embezzle.
Come to the conclusion. Yeah.
Come to the conclusion.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
That's what I meant.
I don't know.
Not something else.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think Stormy's getting a little old to play that card.
No, she's not. So he was convicted in February, 1 count of wire fraud, 1 count of aggravated identity theft, and faced as much as 20 years on the wire fraud charges and a mandatory 2-year sentence for aggravated identity theft. He's currently serving a 30-month prison sentence for attempting to extort over $20 million from Nike by threatening to go public with damaging information unless they paid him. He goes on trial next month in California on charges alleging that he embezzled $10 million in settlement funds from at least 5 clients. And he's also been charged with tax fraud and bankruptcy fraud and pled not guilty to the charges. So that just killing it. I mean, obviously he's really good at this and should definitely not, look into a different line of work. Like clearly he is a career criminal at the highest level.
Oh, like I was about to say, like Avenatti, that's almost like a crime boss name. Like if you were gonna make like your own like crime boss mafia, like fictional world, like The Sopranos, like the Avenattis sound like it's like, okay, there's the Sopranos in Jersey, there's Johnny Sacks in New York, and then there's the Avenattis up in Boston. Yeah. Like it sounds like if you were gonna make up a fictional mafia universe, you'd use Avenatti as a name.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe just not this Avenatti, because apparently he's terrible at white-collar crime.
He gets caught and he fucking snitches on himself about it, like on CNN.
Yeah, exactly. And, the most beautiful thing about this is at least if this goes in Stormy Daniels' favor and she gets a little bit of scratch coming her way because of this, at least she'll have some money to finally pay Donald Trump for that amazing, passionate night of lovemaking they shared. Allegedly.
Oh, well, no, according to Donald, it's like, no, the money that I paid was to help her get over the fact that she missed out on one of the greatest sexual awakenings of her entire life. Everything Stormy says is a lie, unless she says I'm a wildcat in bed, in which case it's all true.
Oh, true.
Cartoon President show. But yeah, I also love the jokes. Like, now, Mr. President, do you plan on paying back your attorney? No. just mid-sentence, like, no.
So,
God, now think about that. Like 50 years from now, history book.
Cocky.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, Tony, think about this. 50 years from now, children's high school history books will have the word Stormy Daniels in it. Okay? I want you to just and then even worse or better, however you want to look at it, 10,000, 40,000, 80,000 years from now, if our progeny is exploring the stars, children in class will learn our Space Force was founded in the 21st century by a human being by the name of Donald J. Trump.
That's true.
So our progeny will hear that name pretty much into forever.
Well, if the left continues to win, that history book will never be fucking written.
Oh, now hang on. Stop the presses. Stop the presses, folks. We've got a special run in here, folks. We've got a celebrity. All right, let's get gussied up. We're amongst actual celebrity here, folks. We now have the 1110 KFAB celebrity here with you and me without even charging a retainer fee. An attorney so good he could get murder charges reduced to just hunting without a license, folks. An attorney so good that if Donald J. Trump had hired him instead of Rudy, he would still be the president of the United States of America. The one, the only, Nathan C. Dallin. Welcome to the show, sir.
Phil, thank you. Thank you so much. KOE Nation, Big Buck. What's the show tonight? I don't even know who's hosting what anymore. What is
we are here on Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube and Facebook.
It gets confusing when Phil takes over.
No, well, I know.
But Nathan, we are pleased to have you. Pleased as punch, if you will, sir. So for all the people at home, why don't you explain to all these beautiful people who you are exactly?
Yeah, I'm Nate Dallin. I live in Omaha, Nebraska, the good life, the greatest state in the union. I'm surprised the union held it together before stateship was extended to our great state, but they managed. But now that we've been here, we've done a lot better. Now, I graduated from Millard West High School, so I'm a true Omaha boy. Let's see, I would have graduated, I don't know, 04. I think it was 04. So that kind of ages me just a tiny bit, but of course I'm still probably a pretty young guy compared to some. Let's see what else. I went to law school at Creighton University School of Law. I did my undergrad at Brigham Young University out in Utah because I'm a Christian Taliban, also known as a Mormon. And that's pretty cool. And then I've been doing immigration law. I did my Mormon mission for 2 years in Ecuador, came back speaking the Spaniel. And that's it. That's what I'm about. And occasionally I'll hop on 1110 KFAB to talk immigration, the border, and all things immigration related. So there you have it. That's me. And I my real claim to fame, however, is that my article written on the website Medium was found worthy to be read aloud during a live stream. And because of that, I felt like I owed all these empires and nations of the YouTubes to come on and chat with folks and explain myself a little bit. Like a few questions arose while reading my article, so I thought we might talk about those things or anything else that you want to talk about.
Yes. Answer for yourself immediately, Mr. Dallin.
That's right.
Thank
Actions
you.
have consequences.
Yes. There's a couple of things we wanted to get into. The one that's really kind of got me chomping at the bit a little bit is you said you're going to explain the fallout of this potential Second Amendment ruling that the Supreme Court's going to bring. And then, of course, also your responses, retorts, replies to the reading and then our analysis of it. I definitely want to hear that, good sir.
Perfect timing, Phil. We just talked about a guy shooting up a hospital and 2 teenagers making threats at schools.
So,
Perfect
hey, I'm nothing if not topical. So,
yeah.
But yes, I figured I was trying to figure out which one's going to make Nate pop more. Which one's going to make him laugh more? He could get murder charges reduced to just hunting without a license, or if Trump had hired him instead of Rudy, he would it's like, oh, Phil, Jesus Christ. I don't know if I should thank you or say, really, you shouldn't have.
Yeah, no, it is. Well, I do. So this is another thing that we should talk about at length at some point, which is how does a person who claims to be conservative like myself find a way to vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016 and Sleepy Joe in 2020? Because I did both of those things. Well, that might be another topic for another day.
We might get into that a little bit. But did you like my when I was reading your article at the end? I was like, when he wrote, "The people who voted for Trump have won," that had to almost hurt. That was like, ow, ouch. My fingers hurt.
I gotta say, is that a case of go with the devil you know versus the devil you don't know? Because in 2016, we didn't know what kind of politician Trump would be.
Yeah. So actually, in 2016, that was exactly my position. It was completely unclear to me if Trump actually had a political philosophy at all. That was just not clear to me. I knew he was great, and Phil and I have talked about this only briefly on a number of occasions, but he had, I guess I would describe it as an old school understanding of the human spirit, right? Trump tapped into a deep, sort of raw, understanding about how to communicate with people, how to work a crowd, how to communicate. And I think it was shocking for a lot of folks who consider themselves sort of urban and on the more educated side of things, because it's literally been centuries for some of us since our families have participated in that sort of just raw version of communication. Everything has to be polished anymore, etc. So that just caused me to be confused. I didn't understand what exactly he was up to, what his project was. I wrote a little piece. Actually, my first Medium piece I ever wrote was the day after the election. I said, so I was wrong, and I clearly don't understand what most Americans are going through right now. Right. And so that caused me to go on a spiritual journey where within a year of Trump being elected, I realized, oh, no, there's really good and straightforward reasons why you'd be voting for the president. I thought that the Russiagate stuff was a real farce. I thought the Democrats were acting very, very poorly. And I think, yes, yeah. So West, absolutely. I don't think Trump was just a great persuader. I think he's just a great communicator, period. The problem is that the intelligentsia that's been built up over the last 60, 70 years, they had sort of asserted a particular way in which communication needs to occur. And I think by Trump breaking those rules, it caused folks to get confused, like myself. Like I'm going to mea culpa, right? Mea culpa. Since then, I recognized that Trump is just at his heart, a showman. He's a true showman. And that is not a criticism. I think a younger version of me, like in undergrad, might have said, well, that's not really a compliment. But it gets back to this underlying question is, no. That is, in a way, it's the most pure form of broad-based communication. It's the oldest form of broad-based communication, right? And so Trump is a throwback. And I did not understand that at all in 2016. Now, I did understand that going into 2020. And I still didn't vote for Trump. And the reasons for that are entirely different than my reasons for that in 2016. And the biggest one had to do with, it's been my opinion for for 4 years now, and I don't think it's going to change, that 2024 is the most important election of my lifetime. I believed that before the 2020 election. I believe that now. And I really didn't want there to be a Republican in office from 2020 to 2024. And I know that sounds like a little too much of the 4D chess. Like, come on, Nate, you just got to see what's in front of you and vote. But my thought was, if you had a true conservative, somebody who sort of met the bill in 2024, coming off of 8 years of Trump, I don't know how you win. Right? Like, I don't know how you win in that kind of a scenario. Just historically, it's very difficult to be from the same party and win that third term. And so I thought to myself, man, there's got to be some like really good hit them in the mouth conservatives who could really take 2024. And guys, I have to admit, things are shaping up almost exactly like I would have wanted. Okay, no, because my boy Ron DeSantis is coming, and I'm on that train.
Like us right wingers are like, oh, this Ron DeSantis guy, who is this guy trying to impress us? So, but
yeah.
Now I want to offer not necessarily some pushback, but just something for your consideration when it comes to like Trump and like not necessarily persuaders, but I remember maybe it's like a week ago, you and I were having a little bit of a back and forth on the Second Amendment. And yes. I had one little line that it was kind of a bullshit argument from authority, but you're like, kind of like, oh shit. It's like, now, if any of this sounds far-fetched, keep in mind that there's probably 5 Supreme Court justices that agree with me right now, way more than the other analysis. And so that's one of the, and the reason that you said your argument works rhetorically, even if it doesn't work factually. And that was one thing I wanted to push back on you on, because this is something I keep trying to intimate to you and to Tiberius. This is going to sound a little hyperbolic, but just hear me out for a second. I'm sorry, but fuck your facts. The facts mean nothing. The facts have never persuaded anybody. The facts have never moved anybody, because you can't remember facts and you can't relate to facts. You know what people relate to? A story. Trump gave people a story that they could sink their teeth into. Martin Luther King Jr., when he said, I have a dream where my children will be judged by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, he gave people a story that you could sink your teeth into. And if you can give people a story, you got it won. It doesn't matter if you've got a fortress of facts against you. Like you will still win if you've got a story that people can relate to.
Well, I can't, I mean, you're not wrong. I would just say, I don't know if that's a great governing philosophy, right? But like, but you're right. It's almost immaterial.
Like,
Fuck your facts.
fuck your fact. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't mean to put it like that, but like at the end of the day, like when you look at the two arguments, like my best example that I use for this, and it's a heavy-handed example, but it really drives the point home. When we were ending slavery in this country, the argument that ended up winning was the story that people could sink their teeth into, not the argument from effective. Well, if we end slavery, we're actually going to end up increasing the price of labor, and it's going to create an incentive to create more labor-saving devices. And then there's going to be hardly anybody involved in agriculture anymore. And we're going to be having these massive machines that are run by crushed up dinosaur bones that we mine out of the earth. That would sound like you were high, but that was in fact what indeed happened. But the argument that actually ended up winning was, no, these people cannot be owned. They are children of God like the rest of us. And that was the argument that ended up winning. It was like, so just throwing facts at people wasn't really going to move them. It was give them a story, give it a moral argument. And that's what I've always said is like, so if you've got showmanship and you've got even half a moral leg to stand on, that's a very powerful thing indeed.
Well, and I don't have anything to say back to that. I think that in terms of a retort, my only comment would be, at some point you have to be correct on some stuff in order to run society. But I do agree that the human soul is not designed for a classroom. It's not designed for peer review. It's not designed, right? I mean, this is why I'm a deeply religious person. Again, Christian Taliban all the way. But I've been reading the Old Testament again this year. And right now I'm in the book of Judges. And to your point, Phil, by allowing the story to speak to you, you get these insights and this depth of 4,000 years of human wisdom just pouring into you. Right now, is it all strictly factual? Like, is every little bit of the Old Testament, strictly speaking, factually accurate? The answer to that is maybe, maybe not. I don't know if it really matters, right? What really matters is that you understand and get this wisdom that's been handed down from God and his prophets to us, and you can internalize that to a great benefit to your life. Facts be damned, right? And I think that there's probably something to that. And I like that wholeheartedly. So, I think that your point's well said. And that's why Trump did so well. And by the way, it wasn't just that he was a great showman and a great communicator. He did touch on a lot of real issues that were causing a lot of real problems in people's lives. And so he married those things together and he was very successful. So
yes, I can't disagree with anything. And people are saying you need to read the book of Phil. It's like, well, I am considering putting a book out, because I am just that awesome. So we will see.
I love how Phil went on a rant about how facts are worthless, facts are nothing, facts are garbage. I can trump your facts. Unless Phil has a whole big bag of facts that he's ready to dump at your foot.
Blah! Like, well, I mean, Tony, the art of persuasion is just knowing the right moment to drop things. Don't tell Phil to write book. Good God, could you imagine? Yes.
No, guys, he'll just have me ghostwrite it, and then he'll ratchet up the rhetoric to a 50. Then we do all right.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Now, Nate, I'm just letting you know, I am running for president in 2020, and you are on the top of my list of potential Supreme Court justices for nomination. I'm just letting you know
You're incredibly kind. Of course, I would have to humbly withdraw my name for consideration.
Well, no, that's what makes it even better is that, like, I don't want to fucking be here. No, stop it. And the Senate confirms you anyways. Mitch McConnell's like, we don't give a fuck. We got 2 weeks before the next election. You're in, motherfucker. And like,
that's right. President Phil has spoken. Thus saith the Phil. And therefore it will happen. I love it.
But, that is also one of my most ham-handed segues into the Supreme Court of the United States. And it's got some decisions coming up pretty soon, don't they? And isn't it, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's back to back, like they decide the Second Amendment and then the next day they decide Roe v. Wade. Am I correct on that? Like it's a back to back thing, or did they space it out a little more?
It's a great question. The answer is it's up to them. I mean, the Supreme Court, they have to release so everything that happened from like Christmas to oral arguments wrapping up at the end of March or April, they have to release all of those opinions by the end of the month of June. Okay. So they're on the clock, right? June 30th or whatever is approaching quickly. And so every day that passes that they haven't, given us a decision means that it's more likely that the 2 mega decisions are going to be right next to each other. and this becomes, I think, really fascinating, that it's two of the three most contentious cultural issues in the United States. And cultural issue number one, of course, is the issue about life. And cultural issue number two is probably actually about race, at least to the left. I know the right doesn't consider it that way. But the lefties, I mean, they're all in on the race topic and what the government can do about it. And then, of course, for the conservatives, number two, and then I think number three overall, is going to be guns. And the Second Amendment shall not be infringed. What do we do about this? And there are two important cases that are before the Supreme Court. It's actually more than two. The abortion cases, there's actually a little group of them that could all come down here in the month of June. But of course, the big one is the one that I was talking about inside of that piece, which is the leaked draft, the state of the Jackson's Women's Health versus the state of Mississippi, and that one's a huge deal. I think that all conservatives who have been born after 1974 have been anxiously awaiting an opportunity for this mythical right to an abortion were to go away, so that then the states could deliberate and local communities could decide how they were going to deal with the life of the unborn. And so, of course, that's a huge deal for many conservatives. The other one, there's a bunch of those other abortion cases, though. And then, of course, the other one is this New York Gun Club. So the title of the case is New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin. And they're going after licensing requirements for weapons inside the city of New York. And so those also have really big implications. And I anticipate, if I'm the Chief Justice, I release these babies right at the very end, and I bet they're going to be back to back. And I think there's going to be a lot of angst. We're going to have a lot of very angry liberals by July 1st. That's my prediction.
Now, I've got a couple of questions, mostly centered around the Second Amendment case. Now, you're going to have to correct me if I'm wrong, because I've heard there are times where a Chief Justice will actually join a side that they don't actually agree with so that they can say they write the majority opinion. Is that something that Chief, because I've heard that John Roberts has threatened to do that in the past with other Second Amendment cases, but this was before Amy Coney Barrett got on the court.
That's true. So everything Phil just said is to be taken into consideration. So the machinations of the court are the following. You just have to be able to count to 5 to understand the math of the Supreme Court. There are 9 justices. 5 votes carries a case. If the Chief Justice is in the majority, he gets to select who writes the opinion. So the most famous example of Chief Justice Roberts flexing that muscle was the Affordable Care Act, colloquially known as Obamacare. In a 5-4 decision, the Chief Justice Roberts sided with the liberals and found that Obamacare was legal. And so the way he did that, however, was he was a vote of 1. But since he was in the majority, his rule carried the day. 4 justices said it's legal under the Commerce Clause of the Constitution. 4 justices said it's not constitutional under any interpretation of any words or combination of words in the Constitution. And Chief Justice Roberts said, it's found in the taxing clause of the Constitution. The tax clause allows the government to create these complicated tax schemes to fund healthcare. And so, of course, he was able to write a rule with 1 vote. A very strange set of circumstances. The liberals had to sign on for it in order to get their way. They wanted the result, but they didn't actually vote for the rule. So to Phil's point, could there be a circumstance where Chief Justice Roberts hops in on like this gun case and says to himself, I'm going to be in the majority and I'm going to write the rule, and they'll just have to deal with it? There is such a circumstance. But to Phil's other point, if he's 1 vote of 6 and the other 5 justices write a rule together, the justice can't play that little game anymore. So now the 5 justices could say, we're glad that the chief agreed with us 5 and has his own take on the rules, but we have 5 votes on this rule right now, and this is what the rule should be moving forward. Hence why everyone who voted for President Trump, in order to be able to take control of some of these constitutional issues again, tip of the hat. I mean, it couldn't have played out any better. Just absolute tip of the hat.
That's why I say when you're saying 2024 is I think actually no, 2016 is probably going to go down as the most influential and important election of our lifetime, because one president got 3 Supreme Court picks. It's going to affect the rest of our lives, basically. And so, and also hearing that, whole huge weight off my shoulders, because I'm just like, okay, Clarence Thomas, please just write the Second Amendment majority opinion, set Second Amendment jurisprudence right for fucking the next 20 years, and then we can at least rest a little more easy. I know California, New York are going to fight this even after the ruling, but it, like, still, at least we'll have a little something. It'll be hopefully like the Heller decision.
Yeah, I just want to, I mean, we could talk about, we're going to have lots of opportunities. I hope you all have me back on during the primary season next year. It's going to be a wild ride. Part of me, just from the entertainment perspective, would love a DeSantis-Trump primary. Oh, baby, the dueling rallies, the rhetoric, the zingers, the fun would just be off the chains. But I'm all in on Captain DeSantis. So we'd have to see how that all played out.
I don't know that any legitimate Republican candidates should even bother if Trump really is all in on this candidacy. I just don't see how it would work out well for it. It's just going to tarnish the potential of somebody else if they don't win.
Well, no, you're right. The only reason that a guy like DeSantis might do it is if Trump wins again, I think, how does the timeline work for the next 8 years? Because is he likely to win a third term? Now, there's a tiny bit of a constitutional question there, but not really. It's all about consecutive terms, not just total terms. And so Trump could pitch for a third. And if I'm DeSantis, I'm thinking to myself, well, that means I'm basically, giving up the next 8 years. And if Trump holds on for 2 terms, it's unlikely that I could, ride popular opinion into a third Republican term directly thereafter. So he might look at that and say, I got to take my shot. I mean, 12 years of having to wait on the benches is a long time. Crap happens. I mean, ask Chris Christie. He thought he could be president. He didn't run when he probably should have. And then he became irrelevant. I mean, that could happen to DeSantis. There's no rule that says that couldn't have happened. So
I was talking to my dad about that just today. It's like, yeah, Ron DeSantis, he's the front runner now. But how many times in your life have you said, yeah, this guy's probably going to be the president 3 years out, and then he's irrelevant by that point? And now the thing that everybody kind of forgot about the 2016 election, the primaries were hilarious because all these different candidates came thinking they had their legions behind them. Rand Paul's like, now me, I've got my libertarians behind me and they're ready to go to bat for me. He turns around, where'd they all go? Then he turns back around. They're all standing behind Trump. It's like, fuck, what happened? Ted Cruz, I've got my evangelical voters and they're going to stick with me to the very, very bitter end because of the Bible and the values. Then he turns around, where the fuck they go? And then it turns out they're all standing behind Trump. And it's like, what the fuck happened? And so, yeah, like Trump is an anomaly of the Republican Party. And so it's just like the Matrix. There he is, the anomaly. Like, so if he runs, he's going to win because people like me are probably going to vote for him. I mean, like, I know Nate, that like, why? Ooh, too, Phil, really? But like,
No, I understand. No,
judges, no new wars, tax cuts, not bad.
No, I know. The libertarian side of you loves it. I get that.
I don't think it really even comes down to politics. If it is, in fact, Donald Trump as your candidate, as the Republican nominee in 2024, and I think he gets there. Why? Solely because in 2020, something awful happened, and that was the pandemic, and it canceled all the sports. And we replaced sports with the election that year, and people love sports. And since we replaced sports with the election and politics, people remember that. And you know what else people remember? People remember Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, and people love a big sports rematch. So, sorry, DeSantis ain't going to fucking do shit. Brendan and West, Jay Ryan, I'm sorry. No, won't fucking matter. Guess what? January 6th just got him a bunch of fucking votes, and all the stories that they can spin one way or the other, it doesn't matter. Like Phil said, a story is all that matters. So guess what? The rematch, the box office rematch, Trump Biden 2, pretty much, no pun intended, trumps anything else. Oh, because let me tell you, you're going to sell a ton of tickets to Madison Square Gardens for Biden v. DeSantis. No, it's going to be Biden v. Trump too. It doesn't matter. If Trump's all in, he's going to win the candidacy. That's all there is to it. If I'm DeSantis, sit back and wait, maybe vie for a VP spot and go, hey, after 4 years,
cinch up
maybe
Florida.
Slide over for me.
Now, I think Florida's going definitively red in 2020 and probably 2024, but we will see. Now, like I've noted that Democrats seem to think that they can still campaign on January 6th. And it's like, that's not really going to matter in the face of rising gas, housing, fuel, food prices. Like, none of that's really going to matter. I mean, like, it's like I sent a meme to my buddies today, Nate, and you'll get a kick out of this. It's like, every time I go to the gas pump, I think, fuck, maybe we should have taken our chances with Kanye.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So, and also, like, I'm running for president, and if you think I had no clue, yeah, didn't think Trump had any fucking chance either. Didn't think he had any chance to make it, but no, you never know at this point. But I think 2024. I think if Trump does run again, it'll be for a one-term Grover Cleveland style thing to just fix all the wrongs that Biden did. And like I said, it's a story. It's a comeback story. And for Republicans, it's righting the wrong of 2020. And so that's where I think that actually ends up going. And Nate, I will leave that to you. And I'm also kind of curious if you have a good idea. If you had to bet, what do you think Clarence Thomas's majority of decision on that Second Amendment case is going to look like, and how expansive do you think Second Amendment rights will be after that? I know, big two-parter. That's a big burrito, but
so as you were waxing eloquent about the Trumpster, crazy Uncle Trump, I think I was trying to go find what the underlying case was with this New York stuff, so I could get you some particulars.
Okay. Well, I mean, I can wax poetic even more. I mean, I'm
no, you're fine. That's why I was looking a little distracted for a minute there. And I think, as I said before, we're going to have plenty of opportunity to talk about the Trumpster, DeSantis, and everything in between, a lot. But I think the more pressing issue of the hour has to do with this New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated. And they sued, having to do with the New York requirement that an applicant for a license to carry a concealed handgun outside of the home show that proper cause exists for the issuance thereof. So in New York City, and I think New York maybe generally, that in order to get a concealed handgun outside of the home, this phrase outside of the home is critical. Okay, this is critical. The fight for weapons inside of the home is settled. Castle Doctrine, you have an absolute, since the DC Heller case, you have the ability to defend yourself in your home. The question then becomes, what about outside of the home? Does the government actually have some power to infringe upon the right to bear arms in public or not, right? So inside the home, the answer is not really. They can stop the point of sale for fully automatic weapons, but let's pretend that we got a fully automatic weapon and we just kept it on our own property. We never took it out into public. I don't know if they could do much about that. ATF might be ticked, but I think that they're just sort of stuck. I think you've got some protection there. But they've got you at the point of sale. And of course, the argument there is that there's a compelling interest to limit fully automatic weapons. Frankly, I'm just waiting for somebody to go after that thing on its constitutionality. It doesn't really make sense to me. Yeah, I just don't know if that makes a ton of sense underneath what Heller said.
A Second Amendment folks who my family for generations has been donating to the NRA. So like, this is like a very big deal. Like, this is like a decision that my grandfather was waiting for like 30 years. And like, so the idea that how far does your Second Amendment right extend outside your home? And I'm just thankful to Christ that it's probably going to be Clarence Thomas that writes this decision, because he even made the quote, is like, the idea that the Second Amendment protects you from carrying a gun from your living room to your kitchen is absurd. And so like, I'm hoping for constitutional carry all 50 states. And I'm just going to be like popping the champagne.
I think that that's exactly what's on the table. During the oral arguments on this, New York was making a series of points. So just as a general proposition, people need to understand there's different ways different folks inside of the legal profession look at the Constitution. I think we all know that. The lefties are on one side, But even inside of conservatism, there's actually a split. There's actually quite a large group of folks who are textualists. That would be like Neil Gorsuch. Others who are originalists, and that's like Clarence Thomas, right? Claire Bear, our boy Claire Bear. So Claire Bear would say, it's not just how do we interpret the words on their face. He says, we have to interpret the words on their face as they were understood at the time of ratification, right? Whereas Gorsuch might say, no, we just look at the words of the text as we would interpret them today. That's not to say that you can go off script and just make stuff up. Gorsuch would say, you have to use the plain meaning of the words today. You can't get creative. The lefties would like to get creative with some of the words, right? Gorsuch would say, no. We read the words. We go over to Merriam-Webster's dictionary from 2022, and we stick to that, okay? And so that's just a division inside of the conservative justices, all right? But then it gets back to this point, exactly as Phil laid it out. If I have these rights inside of my home, what's the rationale, or where are the words in the Constitution that would allow a different standard outside of the home, right? I mean, this is the core issue. And so the state of New York said, hey, you have to show a reason for why you're getting your concealed carry. And Phil and I were having a little spat about this because I actually think that one of the ways you could have a pretty good or a better, I don't know if it's pretty good, but at least a better regime for gun control would just be to say, I want to see competence. It would just be a competence check. Do you know how to clean a gun? Like, this 18-year-old kid who picks up the AR-15, are we confident he knows how to break it down and put it back together? Probably not. He needs to sit down in a class and try to figure that, show some basic competence. But I digress. Phil's point there was, no. First comes rights, right? And if I can't exercise my right until I get a license, then I don't have a right in the first place. And this is the exact.
I almost couldn't say it better myself. Oh, wait, I did.
Yeah, he did say it himself. So this exact line of questioning came up during the oral arguments, and Justice Kavanaugh, of the infamous Justice Kavanaugh, Beer Pong Kavanaugh, Kavanaugh shows up and asks this exact question: can you name any other rights that first require a license before the right goes into effect? And of course, the answer was, well, sort of. It's not exactly licensing if you have to get registered to vote. You get the freedom of the press once you become the press. That sometimes requires like a business license to show that you are the press, right? You can kind of play with it. But it appears as though at least 5 justices, maybe 6, all sort of are of the same persuasion that the Second Amendment doesn't spring into existence after a licensing requirement occurs. It happens prior to the license. And so then you ask yourself the question, all right, so we have a Second Amendment right. Does the government have a compelling interest to interrupt my right or to burden my right? Right? Can they infringe my right? And if so, under what conditions could they infringe said right? And this becomes where a more narrow ruling might come out, where the Supreme Court says, no, you have the right first, but we think that in heavily urbanized areas, you might be able to limit some of this because we don't like gangbangers, right? And so there was a ton of talk about population density during oral arguments. There was a ton of talk about the likelihood of an innocent bystander being shot by an errant bullet, right? And in the country, the likelihood of that is 0. So you'd have no rationale for trying to limit your ability to bear arms in the country. But if you're in heavily populated Boston or New York, perhaps there would be more of a rationale to make that happen. And that's really what's before the court right now is what are the rules? I anticipate a Claire Bear. By the way, I call him Claire Bear. I've met Clarence Thomas. I actually took a class from him for a week.
Fucking A.
Yeah, we met every 2 hours over the lunch period when I was at Creighton for a week straight. And he has been itching for a long time to write a Second Amendment opinion. And so Phil's intuition is correct. He's itching for it. He thinks it's very obvious and clear how this is supposed to go. And we just have a lot of people who don't like it. And that's why it hasn't been happening. But I would anticipate that we are going to get an expanded Second Amendment right outside the home. What the rules are, what it's going to take for a city or a state to try to infringe that right or burden that right in some way. That's where the devil's going to be in the details. I don't know if they'll set up like a little test, like, well, if there's 1 million people in X number of square miles, then you could limit certain situations because of errant bullets. Like they might come up with some calculus like that. But for folks living in the country, I think they're going to be open carry all the way.
I get what you're coming at with that, but like just from what I know from Clarence, oh shit, we
no,
lost
sorry,
him
I'm just realizing I'm just not competent. This is an incompetence problem.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, no, I'm the technical one. I'm just trying to I got to plug in my laptop. It just told me it's going to shut down. So hold on a minute. But yeah, keep talking, Phil. Wax poetic.
Oh, well, I can do that. But now when you're talking about Clarence Thomas, he might allow for somebody. I think like a guy that's an originalist like that, he's going to go like, nope, you have the right to carry a gun, even if it's in New York City, even if it's here, there, wherever. Like you can carry it there, you can carry it here, you can carry it, like Dr. Seuss. You can carry it on a chair. You can carry it with a bear. You can carry it under there. Like he's going to do no, you can conceal carry without a permit in New York City. I got a feeling that might be something that Clarence Thomas, now granted, me as somebody who likes to travel, I'd love that. But like the idea is like, well, maybe you should limit it. Like to me, like I've been to the really, really bad parts of Chicago, and that's a place where you probably should be strapped if you're going there. Okay. Like the idea that you shouldn't be strapped is actually like, that's not a smart play at all. No, you should probably be strapped if you're going to some of them neighborhoods.
Well, I think that there was some pretty good research done that you were safer as a Marine living in Baghdad as an American than you were being a black male living in South Side of Chicago during the same period. So I think if we felt that the boys in Baghdad needed, pretty heavy duty arms to keep themselves safe, Phil's point is extremely well taken. But
can't argue with that. Brandon Roy says if he was an original, he would understand it's not the Fed government's decision. I understand that, but now, Brendan, libertarian as you are, I mean, you know that there's a lot like there's a reason the founders had to put the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. They had to put that in the Second Amendment pretty explicitly because they knew some asshat was going to come along and eventually try. And so like, I got to give some credit there. That's why now I wanted to push back on one thing you said.
There's a reason that the label on a McDonald's cup of coffee says coffee's hot.
There are idiots out there, but now, there was the textualists versus originalist argument there. And there's one thing I wanted to not even like pushback, but just posit for something for your consideration in the future. The reason the originalists stick to originalism on the Second Amendment is because the nomenclature for the term regulated changed drastically over the last 200 years.
Yes.
Before the Civil War, regulated like was not really known to be like subject to government fiat. Like if you had like, I have 2 eggs, 1 piece of ham, a piece of toast, and some milk every day for breakfast, you would be said to have a well-regulated diet. Like it was a very exacting regulated diet. And now the idea that, regulation means subject to government fiat because that changed shortly after the Civil War. That's where, to me, it's like, okay, people are trying to get a little slippery with the definition because that is an attempt to try and regulate people's Second Amendment rights away by saying, well, look, it says it right there. It's like, well, that's not really what it meant when they wrote it.
No. Yeah. And it's not just the Second Amendment thing. So Clarence Thomas is consistent on this. He doesn't pick and choose his topic for when to apply originalism and when not to. He's totally uniform and consistent on this. And so is Gorsuch. And so Gorsuch has actually ended up with a couple of head scratchers from a conservative perspective when it has to do with the word sex and gender. He thinks that includes, because of the modern definition, issues about trans persons, etc. And so he's sided with some of the liberals because he's like, no, we look at the words as they mean today. You got to deal with that. If you don't like those words, go change them, Mr. Phil. Right? So I would. Well,
they're eventually going to have to clarify some trans rights stuff here before too long. Like that's just gonna that.
Well, yeah, and have to. And of course, I think the system. I say the system. I just mean the constitutional system would want democratic participation, and probably not just fiat by a small group of people to make some of those determinations. Right. The interesting part with that has to do with this fundamental libertarian itch, which is, well, if people are not using their freedoms in a way that protects the freedoms of others, how can the state play referee in those kinds of circumstances? And of course, that's interesting and complicated unto itself. But I just wanted to get back to this idea about the gun issue. So in a circumstance where Justice Thomas really wants to have the most expansive and originalist reading of the Second Amendment. However, Justice Roberts swoops in and says, all right, I'm going to write the opinion on this one. And the 4 justices go with him with some sort of a textual interpretation. Instead of going with Justice Thomas, you could be in a situation where Thomas writes a concurrence where he makes the argument, but that doesn't become the law of the land because he doesn't have the votes. And so there are still some goofy circumstances wherein a more narrow ruling could occur. Phil gets the opinion that he wants, or he gets the result that he wants, but he doesn't get the expansive rule that probably gets closest to the spirit of the Second Amendment as he and his family, and frankly, all Nebraskans that I know, feel on this particular topic. So I would just say that just as a machinations, like the way the court itself operates, if Roberts decides to hop in and he can get 4 other justices on the conservative bench to go with a more narrow interpretation than what Claire Bear is up to, then, there you have it. Ooh, Wes is asking some good questions about the trans issues.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this is so the answer to that gets a little bit complicated because it turns out inside of current law, British common law, etc., they allowed for an unequal set of standards based upon biological sex, men and women. So, for example, just an example, women are exempted from the draft. So that is an unequal application of the law. But it has been well accepted from time immemorial that when it comes to issues of war, we can discriminate based upon sex and gender. Now, as a consequence of that, when you talk about trans issues and the switching up of some of those traditional systems, the questions of law start to become a little bit of a head scratcher. We're like, well, hold on a minute. How do some of these traditional unequal applications of the law based upon biological sex, how do we deal with that? And the answer is not a lot of folks have tried to deal with this. And so that's why Phil's point is probably right, West, that there's going to have to be some decisions made. And whether that's done by society through the ballot box, culturally, or if it's the justices themselves, they'll have to kind of hammer those details out.
I was about to say, even if it's just a matter of like you were saying, like draft, or even just like how insurance policies are meted out, like shit like that's going to have to be decided eventually there. And so a fascinating take there. But, like I always agree with Dr. Ron Paul's take that there's really no such thing as group rights. We all have individual rights. And that's, and so that's always been my take there. But I do appreciate that clarification. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to ask you about before we get off to the post show and all that beautiful stuff there, folks. We did have a reading of your letter or an article, if you will. Now, I do apologize. I did take some creative license because you went quick words on Roe v. Wade, but I went with the really dramatic on Roe v. Wade. So like I took a little creative license there, but
Phil, if I'm ever president, you'll be my first speechwriter. I just want you to know that. All right, continue.
Please, or make me like the press secretary. Like,
well, you can do both. I'm just want you by my side every time I speak in public. You can up my rhetoric and make me a better communicator.
No. Hang on, Mr. President. I got this. Like, you don't need to talk to him. He's just the president. I'm Phil KOE. You're the king of extreme. Kings are higher than presidents. Didn't you know? So, like, yes, that's shit. So yes, I understand. Don't worry, I'll get blamed for everything. I'll say the shit that gets everybody canceled, and then you could just have me escorted out of the White House one week where it's like, wait, why didn't my key work anymore? Sorry, Phil. No, you said one too many. It's like, damn it. I thought that was a really funny joke. No, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Yeah. Twitter said it wasn't. It's like, shit. And also the swing state voters said it wasn't. Phil for press secretary for sure. But so with this, it would. But now, if I'm president, like I said, you would either be my attorney general or a Supreme Court justice pick. So that would be, now that would be if the party was not with me. Like if the Senate was the opposite party, and I needed like a compromise, a moderate pick. Like it's like, here you go, Nate Dowling. It's like, I don't even want the job. See, that's how moderate he is. Okay, he doesn't even fucking want to be here, so he's gonna be the only motherfucker you can trust. Okay, so like there you go. And like, so Mr. Dowling, what's your take on this? I don't want to be here. Why are you asking me questions? Please stop. But yeah, that would actually be the best Senate confirmation hearing of all time, actually. So yeah, but
be a hoot.
Moving on, another Supreme Court decision that's coming up is the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Planned Parenthood versus Casey. Michael Malice. Great. I don't know about all that. Like,
I don't know.
You gotta remember, West J. Ryan, Michael Malice has a poster of Phil KOE up on his wall. Okay, that's the last thing he sees for, like, I wish I could be as good as you, Phil KOE. One day, I hope to be just 1/4 of the man that you are. So, like, so that's how that goes. But we've got this. But I will get here. We've got this article issue, and you had a few retorts, pushbacks, objections, or even questions about our analysis. And I'm really curious to hear that.
I can't remember who it was. Was it West who was sort of like, hold on a minute, there's some fear mongering going on here?
Yes. That's my buddy Chicken. He will definitely want to get into it with you.
Yeah, and actually, to Chicken's point, he's not wrong. I did not explain this point well. So I think that this was just a lack of explanation on my part. I didn't mean, and again, this is just a failure. I didn't mean to give the idea that I think that there's a probability or that there's a real risk for other types of cases to be at risk because of this Roe v. Wade decision. The reason I put that out there is because Roe v. Wade itself was predicated upon this strange legal doctrine called substantive due process. Okay, and substantive due process actually is connected to our great state of Nebraska. So there was a case in 1920 called Myers v. Nebraska. You'll recall in 1920, there was just the end of a war, a particularly nasty one over there, right? We sent the doughboys to go take care of business in Europe. When the U.S. declares war on the Central Powers, I think it was 1918. If I get the facts wrong on this, I'm sorry, everybody. But the approximation is there were a group of small towns in Nebraska that were still predominantly German speaking. So during the war, the U.S. government made it illegal to teach the language German in public or private schools because we were at war with Germany. So the Supreme Court gets this case, and there had been this argument. Oh, this is my son Zeke's coming to say hi. Here's Zeke, stand up, say hi to the boys.
Oh, he's
if he can.
Hello.
There he is. At some point, I'm going to have Zeke come down and do some real shoveling on somebody's farm. So anybody in Nebraska is looking for a hand who will work for free, I got one for you.
Plenty of shoveling work. Don't worry about that.
Well, that's right. That's good.
And you said free, Phil's favorite word when it comes to
free? Oh, I'm all on
right. I don't believe in child labor laws. So Zeke just hit 8 years old. In my estimation, he's ready to go. So that's kind of how I feel about that.
I'm on a family farm. I've been paying into Social Security since I was 13.
Because you're an American, that's why.
Yes.
Because you're an American.
Yes. God bless America.
Well, okay, sorry. So I'm getting sidetracked. But so families in Nebraska sue the federal government, and they say, "Hey, we have the right to teach our children whatever we want to teach them in a private or public setting. If our school board votes and says we're going to teach German in our school, that's local control. We get to teach German in our school. I don't care who DC's declared war on. We're going to do this the way that we want to." So the Supreme Court looks at this and they're like, I don't know. Is there a parental right or something in the Constitution? They go pull it out. They're like, I don't see a parental right in here. They're like, cripes. And so they're trying to figure this out. And so what they said was there are certain unenumerated rights in the Constitution. They're in there, but they're based upon history, tradition, and British common law. And so their argument went like this. From time immemorial, parents have controlled the education of their children, and therefore we will recognize the right that existed prior to the Constitution and incorporate it into the Constitution through this idea of substantive due process, meaning before the government takes away a historic right that predates the founding of the nation, if you can find a right that predates the founding of the nation, the federal government must go through a specific process before they infringe that right. And the government did not give a good reason as to why it would be helpful to fight the war effort to stop teaching German in schools, right? Therefore, the process that they went through to infringe the rights of the parents violates the Constitution, struck down unconstitutional. And this was the first instance where a right was found with no words in the Bill of Rights or the body of the text itself. And it kind of just flew under the radar because I think most people went, yeah, the government was being stupid. Like, teach German, don't teach German. It's their family heritage. Like, what the heck? This is stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody really pitched a fit about it. But that becomes the basis for Roe v. Wade. That becomes the basis for Obergefell. That becomes the basis for a case called Skinner, which has to do with chemical castration of certain felons, right? Like, there's a series of cases where they say, hey, the federal government should not be tampering in people's lives based upon a right immemorial. Okay, so the gay marriage question goes like this. From time immemorial, there has been marriage, and the Constitution says that this right of marriage that predates the Constitution itself must be approached equally. Therefore, same-sex couples are in. All right, that's the basic gist of Obergefell. The basic gist of Roe v. Wade was privacy is a substantive due process issue. There is a right to privacy, which either predates the Constitution or arises from the logic of the Constitution, and therefore you cannot abridge this right. So by Justice Alito going in and saying, what he basically says is, this is not true because this right was not predicated upon history. It wasn't predicated upon tradition. This right immemorial of killing an unborn child in the womb don't make any sense. You literally just made that up in the 70s. This is stupid. And so to Chicken's point, you are correct. He was very express in saying, I'm not going after gay marriage with this ruling, but I do see a proximity to the logic in these two cases. Because now you could go back and you could make the argument, well, marriage is distinct from gay marriage or trans marriage or polygamous marriage, and there is no right to a gay marriage in time immemorial. Therefore, we shouldn't be protecting that as a fundamental right. And so that's why that issue sort of comes up. Now, I'm actually, I'm very pleased if the Alito decision becomes the law of the land. And I don't think that Obergefell is necessarily on the chopping block, but it's the proximity of the logic from where those two rights came from that opens up the possibility that somebody could say, hey, we went in and messed with these unenumerated rights in the Roe case. Let's go back in the Obergefell case and do the same thing. That's not outside the realm of possibility after this decision. So that's my clarification. I don't know if that helps.
Okay. That helps a lot because, like, for me, really with the way that the marriage laws are right now, like if I was a Supreme Court justice and I were to hold a stare decisis and like respect previous decisions, if a polygamy case came across my desk, I would really have no choice but to affirm it. Like at this point, like, cause like I don't really see any legal justification at this point to continue that sanction at really. I mean, like if that were the case,
as long as it's consensual, right? I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah, like what I always found what's funny is like I could have like 3 ladies with me. It's like, hey, here's my girlfriend, my mistress, and my side chick. And the officer would be like, oh, well, you have yourself a lovely day. Hey, here's my 3 wives. Oh, sorry, you're going to the pokey tonight over there. Like, it seems like a really strange distinction to like, especially for like a man whore like myself. I'm like, that seems like kind of odd. Like, hey, they got a thing. Let them have their thing. But so to me,
and
when
if marriage means that little, who gives a shit if same-sex couples get married?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but again, like there are times where actually, even as our species, if you go down to the mitochondrial DNA, we were down to 1 breeding male and 7 breeding females at one point in our species. So there was a point where that was, if we didn't have somebody say, I'm gonna be a little bit polygamous, we'd all be fucked. We wouldn't even be here right now. But
hey,
so
my Mormon cultish
and in that
ears
case,
are
cheating was
this,
encouraged.
What's that?
My Mormon cultish ears are loving this. My
God.
people's history of polygamy, you're just, Brigham Young just wants to give you a big old hug. He and his 54 wives, they're ready to go, man. That's great.
Well, now, granted, like I can imagine there could be some instances where that could be less than, stellar. Less than ideal. But like, I just think like if it's just like a dude and 2 chicks or like a chick and 2 dudes or however, like if it works for you, do it, like so long as you're not harming other people. If somebody's getting harmed, then that's one thing.
For sure.
But one thing I wanted to just something to kind of posit to think about here, because at the time, like I was going with my ex to some really evangelical churches in 2015 when the gay marriage decision dropped.
Yeah.
And I remember like what was being said in those far right evangelical churches were like, my God, we're like 2 Supreme Court decisions away from it being illegal for us to live by the gospel. Like that was the kind of talk that they were having in there. And like people on like Prime's panels and such, they'll say, well, that's just their bigotry. Like, no, you're not getting it. They're thinking that they're going to be legally persecuted now. And so I wonder if the left thinks like, or if they realize that passing the gay marriage decision activated the right so much that we got Donald Trump that created 3 new Supreme Court justices. And so now you got gay marriage, but it's going to cost you Roe v. Wade. Like for every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. That political pendulum, you can only push so far. And so I wonder, like, I really do think that's going to be the story that's going to be told about this like 20, 30 years from now. Like it was, the right was so activated by this decision because they thought it will be illegal to live their life by the gospel that it created Donald Trump. And so that when you realize that's what Trump represented to people in 2016, the idea that they would run right back to him in 2024 doesn't seem all that shocking to me.
Well, that, I'll be interested to see. I'm a guy who believes in cycles. I think that we're in a cycle right now so we had been in a cycle that was dominated by social issues. I think that we're entering a cycle that is going to be dominated by wallet issues. I know everybody says it's just the economy's stupid, but I don't know if that was true for the last 20, 30 years, but I think we're entering a period of time where it is about to become very true. And so to your point, Phil, I do think that these cases matter a lot to a lot of people. But my only concern is that I think that we're about to have a gas price, jobs, these will become the number one issue. And I do not believe that the left is going to do well in that environment. I think they're better off fighting culture issues. I know that a lot of people in this neck of the woods would be like, are you crazy? To which I respond, no. I mean, they've been running on predominantly social issues and not economic issues. Now, I know that the wonks would disagree with me. Like the people in DC, there'd be a bunch of me like, how can you say this? The Democrats love technocrats and like all this stuff. Like, that's not, go listen to the Obama speeches. Nobody voted for him because of Obamacare. He created that monster later, right? They like to tout themselves as technocrats, but they have their social issues. That's what animates their base. The conservatives had their social issues. That's what animates their base. And that's been the war we've been having really since Reagan was done with his second term. Since then, it's been all culture wars all the way. And I think that we might be getting into a new rotation. And I think the Dems are going to do very poorly in that next rotation unless they make some changes with their economic policy. I know it's a little far afield from what you were talking about, Phil, but I just wanted to put that out there.
No,
it's still the snake eating the snake.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's eating its own tail. But no, that does really hold to something I've been thinking for a while, is because, like you said, the Democrats might have themselves a rough go of things because Trump showed the Republicans the path. All you got to do is shore up your votes in Pennsylvania, the Rust Belt, and Arizona, and you're pretty well president of the United States. If you can just shore up your votes there, you pretty well got it. And so it's a very appealing path. Now, it's something that I keep bringing up to Republicans. It's like, yeah, we probably should try to do something to appeal to Hispanic voters and to other groups, because curious, over the last 8 presidential elections, how many have Republicans won the popular vote? 1. Okay, and that was Bush riding 9/11. Okay, Pat Buchanan could have got fucking elected under those fucking circumstances.
Okay, that might be a bit much, Phil.
It would have been a slightly closer margin, but I still think he would have got reelected. Okay, so it would have been not much of it. So that's something that, yeah. Now Trump did better with Hispanic voters than probably any Republican in a long time. And I was actually kind of joking with my dad's like, people don't really know Ted Cruz's real name is Raphael. Like, what? Go by your real name, dummy. Really? Like, no, like that will help you now. Like,
oh yeah, that'd go over super well in Texas.
Well, I just wanted to, because I know we're starting to run out of steam here. We probably ought to wrap it up. But yes. I just want to circle back. Here's what I anticipate. So this is me looking in the crystal ball. I think that we are going to see a constitutional carry environment. The devil's in the details. We'll see if some states or localities find ways to burden that right. But I think that the logic of first comes rights, then comes regulation is going to win the day. And then it's just what are the rules for the regulation going to be. So 45 days from now, we will live in a culture and in a constitutional system that is more embracive of the plain reading of the Second Amendment. Probably won't be there all the way, Phil. I don't think the work's done yet, but I think you're going to be much happier 45 days hence than you are today. I think Roe v. Wade is toast. And as a consequence, at a local election perspective, the 2022 general election for states is incredibly important. The people you vote for governor and in your state houses, etc., they are going to determine what the rights are for the unborn. And so I would just remind everybody who's listening to this that, Roe v. Wade going away is not the end of most people's end goal, which is we want rights to attach to the unborn so that we can speak on their behalf and defend them. And if you want that, you still have to fight some on the state level. So just remember that. But I do anticipate both of those things to happen. And I think the left is going to lose its mind. I think the month of July, we might see, I think on the radio this morning, NPR said that national gas prices are up to $4.74. That's nationwide. So, of course, I'm sure in California, it's like your firstborn in a mule and you get a tank of gas. But here in Nebraska, we're about
you got to buy the gas
lower.
station attendant like a grand latte and probably some herbal tea.
Right.
And I think some you got to teach at least 3 classes of yoga.
That's right. You gotta show what a downward dog is on site, or else you can't fuel up. That's probably right. Yes. But I think that July is going to be pretty rough because we'll probably see another 30 or 40 cents added to the national average. We'll be above $5 on average nationwide. Nebraska will be up to the national average that we have today by that time. And that's going to have people fit to be tied. And then the liberals are going to see that their side has just lost on all the issues they care about. The gun issue is going to run the opposite direction of them. The abortion question is going the opposite direction of them. I think if I'm their base, I'm a combination of pissed and totally disinterested in supporting my party. Because all they're doing is handing out L's. Sleepy Joe is just handing out L's left and right. And if he's like, yeah, but we're doing a good job at keeping Ukraine as bloody as possible, I just can't imagine that's going to get him anything. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I just can't imagine that. And then he's going to start to get desperate, or at least Senate and House Democrats are going to get desperate.
Joe's not desperate. It's not like he's going to, go to Saudi Arabia or anything later this month.
Well,
no, he's not desperate at all.
I mean, you're exactly right to highlight that you're going to see some bizarre behavior out of the president in terms of toe sucking. He's got to suck some dictatorial toes to get what he needs. I also anticipate that he's going to start getting heavier handed on the executive orders. He can't get Joe Manchin to vote for him. I think that he'll try to push the envelope for what's constitutional under his authority as the executive of the country. Because I don't know what other options he has.
We saw how that went with Trump, though. Like there was just always some judge in Hawaii that would just put an injunction to anything. It's like I was convinced that oh Jesus, some judge in Hawaii has overturned Trump's attempt to put Amy Coney Barrett on the Supreme Court. I was shocked we didn't see that if it wasn't so explicitly under his constitutional authority. So,
but I think those are the conversations. We'll see if the Democrats really are smarter, quote unquote, as bureaucrats. Because I think one of the reasons that Trump's executive orders didn't go as well is tip of the hat to Stephen Miller for being a smart dude. But I don't think he drafted those in such a way that they had very good options going into those court cases. The Democrats might be a little bit smarter. I mean, basically the entire Harvard Law School is on the payroll, right? So those homies are going to come out and cut a whole bunch of executive orders. And because what else can Biden do? The only thing that has stopped him, I think, so far from using these executive orders is he's got to keep some bullets in the holster because he's going to be in an environment with a majority House Republican, a majority Senate Republican, a Supreme Court that's hostile to him. So he's got to keep some executive orders in his pocket so that he can show in 2023 and going into the election of 2024 that he's doing something. But I would just get ready because after this slaughter happens in July, in August, September, he'll do a couple to try to rally the troops and say, no, Democrats are doing stuff for the base. They'll get their teeth kicked in November. And then starting spring of 2023, I think he's going to go nuts. I think you're going to see executive orders and a severe overreach of authority because I don't know politically what else he can do. He's not a strong enough orator. He can't fireside chat like FDR did. What else can he do? He's just going to try to use the power of the pen. He's going to get sued a ton But I think that's what's coming. So that's my 2 cents on that.
And if the Republicans take back the Senate, Hunter Biden better buy himself a really comfy pillow because he's going to be sitting in front of a Senate Select Committee for the foreseeable future.
And
that's campaign gold for Republicans.
Depending on how contentious the relationship between the Republicans and Biden personally is, he might actually get some cover from Mitch McConnell. But I think that the House is going to be looking for an impeachment bill, right? Turnabout's fair play. The Democrats threw some really stupid stuff at Trump, and so I think they will try to do the same to Biden. I think Mitch might give him some cover. That's just sort of Mitch's MO. But you're right.
I can get my judges on. I don't really care.
That's right. He's got a very specific task ahead of him, and he knows what that task is, which is nothing will pass, and I will say things that make the Democrats look bad. But I don't think he actually wants to impeach Biden. And so he'll probably protect him. But again, if these executive orders get too aggressive, they might just do it.
Well, yes. But yeah, those two used to be colleagues. So I think in the end, that like you said, that won't happen. But it was kind of like the Onion article that I sent, and Tiberius almost thought it was real. It was Mitch McConnell. We can't elect a Supreme Court justice a mere 3 years before a presidential election. And I was like, wow, if he had one more vote in the Senate, that would be some real talk. Breyer wouldn't be retiring if he had one more vote. And so that was some fascinating stuff. But hey, Nate, I know you being a high-minded, high-end attorney that's taken to the greatest backroom deals get done. They take you to 1110 KFAB. Like a high-end attorney like you, the fact that you've graced us with this much of your time, sir, I am in your debts. And yes, you are welcome back here to Big Buck and Empire anytime, good sir, to give your analysis, your take. And I'm looking forward to sometime you and Chicken clashing on this, because the two of you are definitely diametrically opposed, but I want to see it, folks. It's going to be like Ali Holyfield, folks, and it'll be happening right here.
Yeah, but I got to be the baby face, right? We got to let Chicken know he's got to come in full heel. He's just got to people's elbow me a couple of times. I mean, that's the only way this is going to get done right.
I think we can make that happen. I think we can make that work, right, T?
Yeah, I just give him an extra shot at the beginning of the show. I think he'll be fine.
Excellent. Well, folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us for episode 141, Breaking News, here at the Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube and Facebook. Be sure to follow, subscribe, let all of your friends know. If you haven't sent this video to a friend, can you really say that they're your friend? Can you really say you're a friend to them? I don't think you can. I mean, folks, you're depriving them of this amazing content. But folks, I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE, the man of the hour, the man with the power, the man that makes the other podcast cower. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube, KOE Nation on Twitch, KOE Nation on TikTok, folks. I hope every last one of you makes it back here to Big Buckin' Empire, happy, healthy, much the wiser. God bless, travel well. Tony, this has been quite an episode. Nate, tell the beautiful people where they can find you, sir. Take it away.
I don't create content, so you can find me here or with Tiberius. That's it.
Nice. Well, don't you have a Twitter handle?
Well, I do have a Twitter. I'm on @NathanDallin. That's just me. I just talk about the economy and other stuff. So you can follow me on Twitter. I won't be talking very many social issues or politics.
Well, so what you're saying is if they want to follow you and get more of your analysis, they should subscribe right here to Big Buckin' Empire. Is that
Absolutely.
what you're saying?
That's exactly right. I'm looking for an exclusive contract from the Emperor himself. See if I can get some my own show on this airtime. We'll see. Maybe we'll talk that later.
Oh, nice. Well, Nate, thank you for stopping by. Enlightening conversation. I really hope that Second Amendment case goes the way I want it to. T, this has been quite a week in the life of all of us, but sir, take it away.
Yes, episode 141. Nate, thanks for jumping in. Phil, thanks for being as boisterous as always. I am merely Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. If you haven't already, please, what are you doing? Come on, Linktree/BigBuck, and you got your Facebook, you got your YouTube. If you like that Twitch thing, it's on there too, and all the socials, all the various different shows across the Big Buckin' Empire, right one easy place. Linktree/Big Buckin', as well as the link to the post show. It's right there at the bottom. It's going away. There it is. There it is. It'll come back around, folks, if you need to see it again. I promise. But yes, if you want to join the post show, Linktree/Big Buckin' will be right there at the top, and you can subscribe to all the various platforms there. And next week, hopefully, we'll have Chicken back on episode 142, and I'm guessing we'll probably be on Thursday again. So mark that down in your schedules. We will see you 1 week from tonight. Thank you. Love you. Bye.
And see if it just smooths itself out.
Back, tell you what I'll do. If I ever get back, I promise to refabricate you, raging rivers of gold. That's what the brochure advertised. And now we're lost, we gotta take it down. Let you down slow, it's hard to survive. Nice. El Dorado. Oh, Lord.